Welcome back to the next episode of the Life Lid podcast. I'm joined today by a fellow actor, a podcaster, a sportsman, and another Kiwi. He's the host of the Going Deep with Dan podcast. I know, sounds a bit like a porno, but that's just the guy he is. Welcome, my good friend, Dan Goodwin. How are you, bro?
Brother. I'm good, man.
Yeah?
Good to be here. Yeah. And going deep with Dan Good, too.
Going
Jeez.
deep with Dan Good.
Yeah.
My bad.
You know, it's a play on words.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen you, man. How you been?
Man, good. I think it's probably been a year about that you last did my podcast. I think that we caught up. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it probably would be about that long.
Yeah, I think, legitimately. So that's what I was just thinking. Yeah. But been good, man. Just staying positive, bro. Just keep working and working hard at the moment. Yeah.
You're looking fit, dude. You're looking, I think you put some size on, which is good.
Yeah, I'd say put some size on, dropped off some baby fat there, you know, the hardest part. Yeah. Is it, you know, as we males, we hold it around here, around the sides. And
the spare tire.
Yeah.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah. And you want to see that six pack popping. So you gotta get it in. Yeah.
You know, it's the perfect time. You know what they say? Summer bodies are made in winter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Although most people come in about a couple of months before summer and think they're getting the summer body.
3 days before
you know
it
who I'm
kicks off.
talking about, you people. No. It's good to see you in the gym. I won't mock it. You know? I respect anyone that's putting that hard work in, man.
Yeah.
Just getting after it.
Yeah. I do love watching like the gym fail videos, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, there's a part of me, I laugh a lot, but then there's also a part of me, I'm like, you know, but these people are in here, they're trying, like they may not feel confident enough to go and talk to a trainer or someone who looks, you know, more experienced and obviously knows what they're doing to ask with some sort of advice. Yeah. So I think, you know, well, on some level, it's a bit shitty to make fun of it, but there is some fun shit that goes on.
It's the biggest first step is getting in there, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, probably getting your mindset there so you're going to do it and you set yourself some goals and achievable goals, I might add. And then, you start going. But that they are funny, some of the videos. I mean, look, I think some of the most funny comedy is when people hurting themselves, like the old school home videos. I laugh my ass off at all that kind of stuff. Like, it is the best.
Yeah.
I feel immediately bad for the person, for them, and that all sinks in. But God, I laugh, and I expect it because I laugh when I hurt myself, and I expect other people to laugh.
Oh, mate, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah, well, that's
it's like stubbing their little toe. Just kick it on everything. Oh, it's the fucking worst.
Yep.
Honestly,
there's plenty of that in the gym, but and all I see is these weird videos like on Instagram and things like that with people doing, I don't know, like weird things like sitting on faces of different people and working out, or like the accidental, I'm going to sit down on this bench press. Oh no, I'm sitting on your face.
You're on Pornhub, bud.
That's
not gym videos.
It's just a terrible Instagram algorithm, I'll tell you. People actually send them to me all the time. I really see that kind of stuff, but
Oh, man, my reels, I did an experiment the other day where I sent the first two to a mate of mine and we both were crying laughing at how messed up they were.
No, it's good, man. But you're getting after it too, after your injury and all those scare that you had. Overseas.
It was rough. It was a long time back. I think I was back in the gym maybe like eight to 10 weeks after the surgery, but starting like very, very, very light. I was not even breaking a sweat at all. Whatever weight I was able to lift prior, I was taking 50% of that and then halving again. I was doing 10%. Just purely to physically move rather than anything. So it was probably another 2 months after that of slow build up before I was actually starting to push anything half respectable.
That's smart. You don't want to have an injury, and that's the best way to train, man. I joined a new gym, I've been there about a year now. You see all these young guys just pushing heavy as weight, just trying to push them, I can't wait till I get on the 40s and things like this. And I'm like, man, you probably lift half of that and you slow it down, and actually do it all properly, and you're going to build up that muscle, so much quicker. But it's things you don't know without education, or getting a trainer or someone that helps you out. I mean, I didn't. I've done a lot of bonehead lifting too, and and little tweaks and things like that. They just come on to rear its ugly head later on down the track. So that's no good.
Oh, dude, and starting slow. Like anytime you take any time off from the gym, I've finally clicked with me. I've realized that when I come back, I have to dial it way, way back. Because if you go in, say you hit 100 on the bench press or whatever, and then you take 3 months off for an injury or some such, and you come back, you're probably not going to be able to crack that 100 out again. But even if you are, if you go ham and just smash your chest, you're probably going to be so sore you're not going to be able to do anything upper body for the rest of the week.
Exactly.
Whereas if you come in and do a week of like 50% load and just ease through it, you're not even working. Like you feel like you're not working out. You've barely sweated. You're not going to be in a position where you're so wrecked you can't train again. So then you can train 5 days that week. Then you have the weekend off and you go back the next week and you're up it a little bit more, but nothing crazy. By the time you get to like week 3 or 4, you can go ham and you're not going to be so destroyed with DOMs that you can't work out. And it's actually far more beneficial for you.
Yes. Yeah, well, I've found it's good to take a week off, like every 3 months or so. Yeah. So I've been told. But I don't like to because I love going to the gym and man, it's just a way of life for me. You know, I need it for mental clarity.
Yeah.
I need it. If I go 2 days without gymming, you know, my fuse is a little shorter. And I'm liable to pop off a little bit, you know, and there's more aggression in my tone and things like that. I need to, you know, just get it out. But if I've found, man, if you have a week off, it generally takes you at least 2 weeks to get back to where you were that week before. That's about the rule of thumb that I've found. And it's so disappointing when you've been training for so long and you're trying to hit those goals and you're like, damn, why can't I hit that? You know, like, and keep moving forward. But
I've got an injury at the moment on my lower back and into my glute and down my left hand side there, and it's I haven't properly worked a leg day in probably 2 months just because of this niggle. It just won't go away. I'm doing like little things in and around, but like anything sort of hip hinging, it's just causing ridiculous discomfort.
Well, it's everything for a point of motion and pivot point. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, do you stretch?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I actually do stretch, though.
It's
my mobility is terrible.
Yeah, okay, because I worked on that a lot. What should I say? And my trainer Sasha got me working on that a lot, and mobility and flexibility. You know, and it's crazy. I remember, I was working on the Eden movie, Ron Howard's one, and I was just like popping a squat or something, and my ass is basically nearly touching the ground or something. I was just stretching.
That's impressive.
And one of the girls was like, you shouldn't even be able to do that at your age. I'm like, what do you mean my age? You know, like, she was just like, oh, that's crazy flexibility. Most girls can't even get that low or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of funny, actually. I didn't even really think of that, but it's just the mobility, and movements that he got me doing with stretching and everything as well. But definitely stops you from getting injuries, and you feel better because you need that blood flow and everything going through your body. Otherwise, if you feel a little seized up there, you know, it just inhibits your everyday life, never alone trying to train as well and lift heavy.
I went to the physio the other day and started doing some soft tissue work just in like my middle back there, and he's like, yeah, just relax. I was like, no, I am. He's like, no, just relaxing. Like relax. And I was like, it's like, bro, your back's fucked. It's like, sorry, man.
Massages are great. I mean, it's just so damn expensive too.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
I don't think I've had a massage in probably like a year and a half now, and I got quite consistent with it for a while. But yeah, especially like tense in the neck and shoulders and everything. If you do that, it inhibits you through the day. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think fitness is one of those things. It's so underutilized and undervalued for so many different things. Like just for mental health alone, outside of your physical sort of benefits of it, you know, in lifting weights, increasing your bone density, you're getting stronger, you know, you're more formidable physically, but like just the mental health side of things, you're getting a rush of endorphin, after you finish. You know, you get to work through something hard that the more often that you're pushing yourself through barriers and pushing through, you know, even though it's just trying to lift a little bit more weight, it's still a resistance that you have to force your way through, that I think can translate to other areas of life. You know, you get adversities come up and you've kind of almost subconsciously programmed yourself to push through these things. I think it's so underutilized. I think there's a lot of people starting to wake up to that, but I think there's a lot of people in the world that are they're unhealthy in so many different ways, and they feel shitty all the time. And if they were more active, more physically active, it'd probably alleviate some of that for them.
Well, that is life. You're faced with a tremendous amount of adversities, you know, and they come in all shapes and forms, that's for sure, whether it be relationships, things you're striving for, workplace, just people in general, hitting your buttons. You have to push past these things. And if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't test yourself, you don't find out what you're made of, and you have exponential growth in all those areas, you know, and then you start to go, oh, okay, look at where I'm coming from, you know, from where I was 6 months ago or what have you, and how well I can mentally actually operate in these situations now and stay calm, which I'm sure you know all about, you know, being a former vet and everything. And yeah, obviously I don't know that scope, but it translates, you know, it always does. And yeah, you find most people are coming in at like 70-80% of like whether it be aggression or energy or what have you, and they don't even know that they're doing it. But it's like, if I matched your energy that you're speaking to me right now, we would be in an argument already. And you're just staying chilled and you let them unload, and it's just like, and then they kind of let it go. They're like, oh, I was, yeah, okay. And then they realize they were probably wrong anyway for doing that. But yeah, those challenges that you set out for yourself, yeah, definitely translate. And the endorphin rush and everything, you get it during your workout, afterwards, you feel great. Even when you're having a really shitty day and you push yourself to go in there and you don't want to do that leg day, and then you get it done and halfway through you feel better, you're like, man, I'm glad I came in here. But it just sets yourself up, you know, for everything that you're trying to achieve. Like, it just gets you in a great state. You feel good, you know, you feel good about yourself when you see yourself having progress. That's a huge thing for confidence, man. Confidence is everything. And I know when I found the gym when I first moved over here, I did a little bit of training before, but then when I got into it over here, you know, it was just like, you just keep pushing the level and the limits, and you're just like, man, you feel unstoppable sometimes. And you just, especially for, you know, what we're trying to do, you know, in the acting game and everything else, like in the entertainment space, so to speak, that's just, that's everything for you, you know. Is just that confidence. You need that confidence and that self-belief. Like, self-belief is everything too, you know. And it's just knowing that, and knowing you can get through certain situations and you can deal with it. You know, being on set, I mean, it's the best part about being on set and making a film or a TV show or what have you. You got all these awesome people coming together with their own creative energies, and it's all the mixing pot of that, and you're all working to the same like goal to make something amazing as an art form, you know. And it's huge. You feel that charge when you go there. I mean, I don't know if you're sort of, you know, in with the spiritual realm, so to speak, or understand energies and things like that. I'm sure you do to a certain extent.
Yeah. I think there's, you go.
Yeah, but I'm just, but also it can have that detrimental point too when you're trying to perform and you're trying to do a scene, you know, and there's all this craziness going on around you, which we both know is a film set. And you got to keep yourself in check because you're the one on camera the whole time, and you got to deliver these lines and, you know, have this performance and connect with the other actors and all this. So it helps you to combat all that kind of thing as well. The understanding, you know, knowledge is power. So that's very real. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, if you're more physically fit, you have a higher work capacity. You can work for longer because your body is able to work for longer before you get fatigued.
Exactly,
so it actually makes life a lot easier in general. Not only that, but like, life's tough. Life is stressful, you know. And if you, when the body gets stressed, your heart rate elevates. You know, your micro, what's it called? Like your fine motor skills deteriorate. You know, you got to rely on gross motor skills. If you can get to a point where your resting heart rate is lower because you're more fit, more athletically in tune, or whatever you want to call it, then when you stress, you're not going as high. So you can actually think a lot clearer. You can deal with things a lot better. Whereas if you're super unfit and you're up here, then you add a little bit of stress, you're at the threshold. Like, you're immediately there. There's no room to play. And I think that's like another level to fitness.
Yeah, and you're not operating at your full capacity. Well, you're already tapped out. So that's not good to start off with. Yeah. And it's definitely a thing. And I mean, the more output you have, you know, the more you can give to something. But there's also a turn to that, you know, like being around so many people in that high energy environment and stuff, like it can boost you up, which is amazing. And you're doing something that you really want to do. So you're willing to put your full energy into, but you also got to realize all the energy coming at you and all the people, or whatever it is, the chaos that ensues. And you got to figure out how to combat that in life and in performing and in sports and in everything. Yeah, that's a real thing that you get a grasp on later in life, I think. As you get older, you understand that. You're like, oh man, I was crazy when I was younger like that. And it's just, you don't realize that you're just putting full energy output into everything, and you can tune it back and just, you know, pick your moments to put it forth. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned you only kind of started working out a little bit when you came over here from New Zealand. What was it that made you move over here? Like, what's the story there?
Man, well, honestly, used to Home of the Way.
The what?
Home and Away.
Home and Away.
Used to watch Home and Away and Neighbours on TV. We used to get that back in NZ.
Wow.
And just the gorgeous blondes on the beach, man. And just all those things. I was like, God damn, where do we have that around here? You know, like we got grey beaches and still there's some good waves and everything, but nothing like that. And I'm sure we've got some gorgeous women in New Zealand. I'll give it up for them. But yeah, it was just all that kind of stuff and like that attraction of it, you know, and seeing it. And oh man, that's a different lifestyle, you know, like even young, not even knowing what you know yet, seeing that. But also talking about it with friends, you know, for a long point of time. And I'm from Blenheim, New Zealand, you know, it's a small town, top of the South Island, wine country, you know, vineyards everywhere. Some of the best wine in the world, I will say. And the awards back that up, not just me, but and just talking about it, but like not a lot happening, if you know what I mean. And like you start to see the patterns of, and there's nothing wrong with it, but a lot of people, you know, just want families and things, and they just want the life that their parents had, and therefore, you know, all the generations, and they stick around there. And I just wanted more. I just saw it as one day, like, you know, cataclysmic event, so to speak. But like, you know, ended relationship with the girlfriend. You know, it was all a bit of a messy thing for a while, on and off again for probably like a year after that. And then I was just like, you know what am I doing? You know, what am I waiting for? Why don't I just check it out? And I just got a job, man, online, and phone call, boom, was moving in a couple of weeks, came over by myself and just hit the ground running and went from there. Not really knowing anyone. I had a couple of mates over here, but like loosely, you know, and it was just opportunity, man, and an adventure, you know, something that I think I've innately seeked through most of my life is adventure, and still do, to be honest, have that hunger for more, you know, a lot more. But adventure comes in all, you know, sides of things. But yeah, it was just adventure, and I think just new opportunities and see what I'm made of.
Yeah, dude, that's a big step though, to drop everything in the midst of a breakup, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of us have been through them. They're difficult times. No matter what the circumstances, even if it's really amicable and, you know, it's a mutual thing, it sucks. Like it really does.
Oh yeah, it sucked, man. But I knew it wasn't healthy to stick around. You know, well, I don't know. I guess it just woke something up inside me that was always there anyway. And just had a calling and just went. It was a big move, man. Not knowing anyone. Like I had a cousin in Sydney, but that was in Sydney, you know. I'm in Brisbane, and
so you moved to Brisbane. Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Why Brizzy?
I came over here like a year or so before that with a friend of mine. His old man and his auntie and stuff were over here, and came over for New Year's. And I'd actually broken my ankle at the time, so I came over on a cast, but I was on the tail end of the recovery, and the cast came off eventually. Through the own means of itself. I think I blew the bottom out, you know, partying a little bit or whatever it was, and ended up just cutting it off. And by New Year's, I was sort of on my feet, but I think I was at that window of 6 to 7 weeks recovery or whatever it is from broken ankle. But yeah, man, I just got a homely feeling straight away from Brisbane. You know, I just like the energy of the place and the people, and I had a great time down here in the Goldie and going out tearing it up. And I was like, man, this is another world. This is crazy. I mean, I go down the Gold Coast now, well after 10 years, and just go, oh man, what was I thinking? But it's, you know, you know, like you go to, you know, the nightclubs and stuff, or you go to a strip club or whatever it was, and I was just like, this is wild, man. We don't even have strip clubs where I'm from. I think there might have been one, but I don't think I was ever old enough to really go in there.
Oh wow.
So it just opens your eyes up to different possibilities, you know, and people, and you get talking, and you're like, man, this is just a whole other world, you know. So that's what it was really. And then I was just like, okay, it's time, you know, let's just go try this.
Jeez. So what was the job? What job did you pick up?
Mostly I've been in the automotive industry, you know, most of my life as well. I used to, you know, be a low-key street racer back in the day. When,
Did you?
Yeah, when Fast and Furious dropped, man, that was the craze. That was everything. Me and my mates, we used to like go with like the older sisters or the older mates we used to know, and we'd go to what they called diesels back in those days, but it was skids, and they'd put, you know, diesel down on a local, like a rural roadway back, and just donuts and all chaos and people drinking and having a good time, you know.
Yeah,
And
right.
not drinking and driving, but there was probably some idiots, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, and just used to like the street racing and stuff like that, and raced a little bit of my time, you know.
Yeah.
I worked in there and just like I specialize like in wheel arms and suspension and things like that, and you know, service the old car and things like that. But mainly that's my thing, setting up cars. You know, I used to set up a few race cars and drift cars, and all the locals would come to me and my mate back in the day, and we'd set those all up. And so it's just good. Yeah, it's just it's a feeling when you're driving on the road. Like I jump in a car and I can't really feel things wrong with it. You know, the connection to the ground and how it's working. So it just kind of, I don't know, synced up with my alignment a bit, and I just did it. Like my uncle got me the job way back in the day. Yeah, you know, just tire fitting and stuff at the start, and then I just sort of keep going back with it. Tried a few different things, but always had that to fall back on. You know, so it's awesome. You know, cheers Murray for hooking me up back in the day. So it was just something, you know, to fall back on or a form of work. So I just got to work there down at Jack's Quick Fit, man. It's funny, like in near the city there in the valley actually. But I couldn't get over it. It wasn't the most amazing shop, but we're working down for like Austral Motors and things like that. Yeah. So it's like brand new Range Rovers and Maseratis and things coming in. And I'm like, so I get to drive these on the road, right? You know, I gotta test these afterwards. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. Man, one day they came in with like a custom built like T-bucket, like racing car, you know, no top on it and everything. And I got to take that bad boy for a hum, although it probably wasn't even going on the road, really. Yeah, but right. I took that down. The guy said it was sweet. I was like, cool, you know, and just things like that, like Lambos coming in and things like that. I'm just like, man, this is wild. I've got a shit wheel arm machine I'm using to set these up, but I'm working on these couple of $100,000 cars, brand new, not a K on them, and I'm putting it on the road like that. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I feared for my safety with some of the hoists and things that I was working on. So I ended up getting a gig at Mazda, and I've basically been there since. But, you know, they kind of respect the path that I'm on to a certain extent, you know, with the acting and filmmaking and taking constant time off and things like that, or working the system, so to speak. So to do what I need to do, you know, what I want to do, what I absolutely need to do, you know, and that's be in the arts. Yeah. That's definitely, like, without a doubt, like that's where I'm most happy. Doing that. It's where I want to put my energy towards. Like I definitely realized that. I mean, I already knew it, but I was just like, after working on that project recently, on Eden, like I was loving every minute of it. I couldn't get enough. But you know, some people wanted to go home and stuff like that. I was like, man, I'll keep doing this all day until I have nothing left in me and night, and just keep coming back and back and back, no matter what I'm doing, you know. Like I just jump in and like basically act as a PA half the time and just help them all out. Like when I don't want to sit around. Yeah. You know what it's like sitting around sometimes, some of the extra gigs or whatever you're doing on the bigger films. And man, that's not me. I need to get in the thick of it no matter what I'm doing, you know. I'll hold an umbrella. I don't care. Yeah. Like,
I think the weirdest thing I've found on film sets is don't touch anything that's not yours and you're not like a part of. It's a weird thing because we're both of us sort of working class dudes from places where you're expected, like for the army, you work your ass off constantly. And if you're sitting around doing nothing, something's wrong. Like find something to do. There's always something to be done. But then you get on a film set and they're like, no, sit, stay, don't fucking move. Like you're not, you just sit there.
Yeah, you sit and holding.
Can I give you a hand? No, don't fucking touch it. Like it's almost territorial at times, but it's just it's so different to have to sit there and, you know, you see all this gear that needs to be moved. You're like, I'm able-bodied. I can, like, it's fine. I can move some of those speakers or whatever it is. They're like, no, don't touch it.
I just do it.
Yeah. I've tried. I've been yelled at. I'm like, sorry, mate. Like,
they will on the bigger one, but sometimes they don't have enough hands, you know?
Yeah.
And strapping blokes like us right on set, you know, might as well go lift a few heavy things if need be, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on ones where, that's absolutely the case, you know, and you're confined to your space and, you know, you got to interact with each other and stop talking so loud. What are we supposed to do? Sit here in goddamn silence?
Yeah.
And but then I've been on ones where, you know, like even those bigger ones, or like an indie set where it's all hands on deck, you know, because you're all, like I said before, you're all going towards that same goal, you know. If I can help out, I'm going to help out, man. Like it's just, unless I've got to go and do this massive dramatic performance or whatever, or be really emotional, which is generally the case probably for some of the characters I'm playing. But it's just, you know, like, and you need to keep yourself in check a little bit and have it in reserve. But I'll, you know, you see someone struggling, like, I can give you a hand if you like. Oh yeah, that would be fun. You know, help the makeup ladies carry this to the truck or these costumes or whatever it is, man. Yeah, I think it's probably in the DNA too. Like my old man can't sit down for 5 seconds, so it's probably the same as, you know, in me as well. And then you sit down for too long. I mean, you know, you seize up.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's unreal.
Yeah.
So, at what sort of point did you realize that this was something that you wanted to do, film and acting, and be in the arts?
Well, I think man, it's funny because like we had like, you know, back in the day, kids aren't even going to know what this is. Before phones were around, we used to have camcorders. You remember those? Yeah. VHS, home videos, you know, funniest home videos. That's where the best stuff is, where people hurt themselves. Yeah, they used to have those. And we had one of those at one point. And I didn't even think about this until way later. And my sister's like, oh, you remember when we used to like get the Handycam out and we were making like little short horror films and things like this with like me and my best mate Daryl and my sister Nicole? Yeah, we used to do that. Like she'd be chasing us around the house with a cricket bat or something, you know, just silly things. But I didn't even remember, like I barely remembered it, you know. And then I do remember one time doing like a monologue by myself, which I didn't even know. It was just, you know, remember that song, All by Myself?
Yes.
Don't want. I think I just did some like sort of dramatic performance channeling that one time, and she still has the VHS tapes at home, like remastered onto a CD that she
need to find
teases
that.
me with a lot. So I'm like, man, one day when I make it, those come
you need
out.
to release that.
No, yeah, geez, I don't even think I watched today last time I was back, but I think next time I'm back I want to see it because it'd be funny. But yeah, like none of that even clicked, man. It's just I was probably over here for about a year or so, and I honestly don't even know how I ended up doing it. So it feels like another lifetime ago now, you know. But I love movies. I always love movies and films, you know. And anything that I couldn't do in life or experience, I probably experienced it through films. So it was like an educational and a growth perspective, you know. And maybe some of those were wrong and all right or just wild, you know, and don't really happen in real life. But yeah, I don't know. I think you learn those human emotions and interactions through movies that you can't experience it if you're a young teenager, you know, or a kid. And, you know, like you think of like films like Jurassic Park or something like that, like the originals and how wild they looked back then, you know, you're like, man, it'd be cool to do that. And I think it was also, it was a lot of that. But I think I must have just started researching. I must have decided that's something I wanted to do, or I saw it going down or an ad or something, you know. And I just did my research and contacted a few agencies and ended up going to Acme Talent back in the day and met Lee Heron and it was his ex-girlfriend, I think, at the time. But yeah, man, just did like a screen test, you know, and you go on camera and guys, I mean, it's funny because people these days probably like they have phones and cameras all the time, so they're probably naturally pretty comfortable in front of cameras. But when you're not used to doing that, you and I both know when you start trying to say lines and your breathing gets all out of whack and everything, and that breathing is everything to relax yourself. If you don't know, that's one thing, because you have to breathe, otherwise you may pass out. But yeah, the awkwardness you are in front of camera. But man, for whatever reason, I just liked it and I stuck at it, even though it was real nerve wracking, man. I was the kid that didn't want to put my hand up and talk in class. I didn't like crowds, like talking in front of people. Petrifying doing speeches in school. Try and get out of it at all cost. So I don't know, you know, people were like, man, how are you doing that now, you know, to the kid you were back then or whatever. Yeah. But and just doing that and just keep going with it, man. Like he took me under his wing a bit though, you know, and really mentored me and like sort of like showed me the spiritual realm, so to speak, you know, like opened my mind up to like the education of it. And then I realized, I was like, oh, I've been feeling these things all my life. I just didn't know what it was or where to put it, you know, just feeling energies off people and knowing the situations not to get into, or partying back in the day, you know, and it was always house parties and things like that, which was awesome and wild times. But you can tend to know when situations are about to pop off and when you should or shouldn't be involved in it. And, you know, fights and things like that, like you just innately know. And it's all an energy thing and reading. But yeah, once I started to realize that and associating it with acting as well, and the one and two are the same basically, and most people in the arts are, you know, spiritual to a certain degree, or very open people, very energetic people, and want to express themselves, you know. So that was definitely a learning curve. But yeah, I just kind of fell into it, I think, but not, it's hard to say because I can't really pinpoint exactly that. But yeah, it was just, and then just, hit the ground running and just kept doing it, man. I just loved, working with people, and that feeling that I got, like that buzz feeling. Like, man, I remember it still happens, going down to the studios, man.
Yeah.
I remember my first time going down to the studios, Warner Brothers Studios, Village Road show, those big gates open up, security guards and everything. You're like so giddy and excited, and your energy is like, it's just total untapped potential is what I would say, just swirling up inside you. That fire just ignites, especially when you're at your normal day job all the time and doing all that, and you can't really, you can only inject that in the fun moments, whether with your friends or whatever it is. But I remember that going down on San Andreas,
nice.
The Rocks film, and that was my first day ever as an extra, and I ended up getting picked out to, I didn't even know what a stand-in was then, but I stood in for Eon Gufford, whatever his name is. He's an English actor, the first, Mr. Fantastic on the Fantastic Four, Jessica Alba.
Yep.
And
wasn't she an absolute smoke show?
Dark Angel. I remember I used to watch that all the time.
She's still an absolute smoke show.
Yeah.
She'd have to be closing in on 50 if she's not already.
Yeah. And I think she's got a new movie coming out too.
Yeah.
Just a little plug for Jess there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. She does. Yeah. It's sort of some sort of thriller, sort of action movie too, which is cool. But yeah, I remember Dark Angel back in the day, watching that, loving that, like for obvious reasons. But it was a cool show, man. But yeah. And so shit, what was I just saying? I forgot.
You got to Village Road show.
Yeah, Village Road show. Yeah. And I got to stand in for him in this like last scene of the film where it's like revealed that he actually survives, because he kind of turns into the bad guy in the film. He's with like The Rock's wife, and he's like the stepdad basically, and then the big earthquake happens and all that. But The Rock wasn't actually there, didn't get to see him, but he was. And I remember standing in doing that, and just all the extras so envious of me doing that. And I was just like, man, they just asked me. I didn't even know what I did right or wrong, but obviously did something right for them to get it. And man, I just remember that. And that just keeps happening every time I'm down there. You get accustomed to it, obviously. And then you have the days where you're not used on set at all, which is luckily enough is very rare for me not to get used, but I have definitely had them. And then you start to go, what am I doing with my life? I'm doing an extras gig. I know I can do so much more than this. And I'm in here just being another number, decorating the set basically. But man, you could be in worse places all the time. And that just fire, like when it lights something up in you, it's the right thing. That's it to a certain extent. It's like when you're on a date and it's going really well, and you're really keen on the chick or whatever, you're like, oh, I hope we get to see her again, or whatever it is, good friend, you catch up, you're laughing, all those things that you need to fill the soul, it definitely does that. And so the more things I can do that fill the soul in that way, and it's going towards a positive endeavor, man, I'm all about it.
Yeah. So you mentioned the mentor there, but I don't think you dropped his name.
Lee Heron.
Yeah. How'd you find him?
Well, he was running the talent agency.
Oh, so he was running.
Yeah. And so he must have. I think he liked the look initially, and obviously I was green as anything.
We all are at one stage.
Yeah. And coming from that thing of being petrified at speeches and stuff, so it was a pretty weird thing to be going towards. But he must have seen something in me that he wanted to help me with, and we actually got like really good mates. We used to hang out all the time. We created TV pilots together. Web series we did, Synergy, way back in the day. Oh man, God, I wouldn't want to watch that now, I don't think, but it was cool. It served the purpose that it did at the time, which was creating and filling a thing where the roles weren't around or the roles weren't coming. You get out there and you create it for yourself. That's the best advice I'd give to anyone starting off in this game, or once you're a few years under the belt and you're feeling that way. You can't wait around and expect your agent to get everything. And exactly, I know you'll probably hear that a lot of times, but then at least you get to play some of the roles you want to, and your writing might not be great, or your friend's writing might not be great, but at least you're creating and you're doing something, and all those reps count to get better every time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, he was great. We fell out a little bit, if I'm honest, but there was a lot of a few personal things and stuff like that. But we've reconnected a little bit, but never actually seen each other for quite a long time, man, to be honest. But we've talked a couple of times, and it's something that has been in the back of my head to go and sort of just cleanse that palate, and go and catch up with them and let it be out and just say some things. there was a situation that happened. It was just some toxic entities involved, and I was like, this is not healthy for me, and this is not healthy for my energy, and I don't want to walk away with this. But obviously, you want to stay in it to a certain point for whatever support structure it was, and I just decided to walk away, man. Yeah. It just wasn't helping the thing, and I didn't think it would help them by me staying involved in it, and so I just had to do that, you know. But I think it was a growth thing, and I probably leaned on him as a crutch to a certain extent too, because he was really great with his advice and everything. And it's funny because the other thing with the industry that I found too is that, like, you know, your parents are supportive and stuff, but they don't understand anything about the acting game or what you're trying to pursue. And when you're in situations in you know, like support thing, it's huge, man, in this game. And you know, some people just got ridiculous belief, beyond belief, you know, of themselves or whatever, and they just keep going, which is, you know, hats off to them. That works. It works for a while until you don't have it anymore, and then you got to find something, which we can go down on that a little bit later if you got to. But it's like and just getting that support in the industry, man. A guy like him and like Jeremy Reese-Hill, my mate, who's a fantastic creative, you know, writer, director, does it all, you know, great actor too, to be honest. And he's been on the pod a few times, you know. We've gone deep on there, so you can check it out on the podcast if you want. But there's some lengthy ones in there. 3.5 hours, I think, is the record. But and you know, like guys like him, just saying things like, man, like, you're a good looking dude. You can be in these like leading role, you know, scenarios and stuff. And like, in all honesty, like, I never even really considered myself like I just thought that good looking or anything. I thought, you know, average looks or whatever, like pretty much everybody else, you know. It wasn't until I started working out and feeling way better about myself, I had more belief in myself in that area. But just belief in the talent too, or that you've got something to deliver, and those guys supporting, you know, creatively and stuff. Man, that means the world, honestly, because not a lot of people do that. You know, they don't take time out of their day to give people compliments. I'm great at giving compliments. I'm terrible at taking them. I feel so insecure, and so does probably other people. That's probably why they don't give them. But it's, you know, it's like the age-old thing of giving someone the smile or whatever, you know, can make their day. It's a definite thing, you know. A lot of people don't even get that kind of encouragement or support or positive influence, you know, in their life. So that's huge. And when you get a couple of guys that are like alphas, you know, believing in you or something, and you're like, you know, and they boost you up, and you figure out that you're a bit of a leader yourself, you know, sometimes. And it's just, that's a pretty cool thing, you know. But you can't always rely on that too, you know. If that goes, you know, you still got to have your core beliefs at heart and what you're striving for, and know what's right, you know, and put positive intent into it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I think having that self-confidence it's incredibly powerful, but I think it's hard because you also need to have a level of self-awareness as well. Like, we've all met those people within the industry. It's like, man, I think you need to find another vocation. Even maybe acting's just not going to be your thing. There's a clear disconnect, but they're not seeing it, and you don't want to be the person that just ruins their hopes and dreams. But they may be phenomenal in another area. Yeah, they just need to explore some other things. So it's one of the things I really struggle with is getting compliments within the industry. I never trust any of them.
Yeah. Because
it's such a softer, more emotional feeling type industry. You know, you can call it left wing, call it work, whatever you want to call it. The point being that everyone's a lot more softer and a lot more worried about hurting people's feelings. That I worry that sometimes when people are saying, yeah, man, like, you're great, that was awesome, whether they're actually thinking, no, that was kind of shit, but they're too scared to say it. And I would rather know, hey, man, that was shit.
Yeah.
And just get told and go, it was shit because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Fix them up, it'll be way better.
Yeah.
So that I can actually work on it and make it better.
Some of us can take that and some of us can't. Yeah. And it's a precious environment sometimes.
Yes,
although
precious,
I've been on a lot of
that's the word
sets
I was probably looking
that
for.
aren't that way.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, your fellow stunties are pretty hard, man.
Yeah.
and the armorers and all those other guys. There's a lot of guys that are like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That they ain't soft.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's some of the best conversations you'll have with people on set, because they'll tell you everything that they've seen on the other sets that they may not tell most people, because we sign NDAs and things, so
exactly.
you can't. But
exactly.
I know what you're saying. I would rather it on face value. Just tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
Partly because I can see straight through it. That's an energy thing that helps. You can tell when people are being fake, and you can tell when people are falsely commenting on you, and they're probably saying that, and they're going, you saw that, eh? And they do that. There are so many of those. and they'll say it sometimes just because other people are in earshot that they want to impress, like a producer or something along those lines, and just to go, oh, look how great he's, he's helping his fellow like actor or whatever, and just man, there's a bit of that, all right. Like it's definitely a thing where people will use the leg up if they can.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's an industry full of that at times, but for the majority of it, it's all positive, man. It's all great stuff. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I'd rather it raw as well, because then at least I can fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
And or try and do something different, especially when it comes to direction from a director. Some people are really hands-on, sometimes way too hands-on, and just all messing up with the vibe. Like, but they're the director, and they're kind of running the ship. They are the leader for the most part. But yeah, sometimes they can get too a bit hands-on involved, and you're like got a creative process going with the other actors, and it's really working, and they come and throw your stuff left field. But sometimes it's for the better of the shoot, and they've got a direction, they've got it laid out, they know where they're going with it, and maybe you just can't see that. You're only focusing on your performance, and what all the lines you had, and everything. And I've definitely made those mistakes before as well, and not seen the overall picture of what's best for the film, which is the best for everything, But yeah, and you'll get sometimes you just won't get that direction or the wayward direction, which doesn't help. But I would rather it raw as well, and at least you know where you stand with whatever it is, whether it's direction or just conversational type thing. Yeah, I'd rather know, man. I don't want to deal with any of that fake shit. I've got no time for it, None. I don't deal with drama, and I don't deal with fake shit. That's the best things that I've eliminated from my life a long time ago, as much as I possibly can. And I think it's why I almost am repelled by social media these days for several years now. I've just seen it, and I'm just like, it doesn't make me feel good when I go on there. There'll be some great videos and stuff like that on there, but man, I've pulled more and more away. Like, because I went full on with it for the acting thing, and putting it up, and then I had to deal with like local, guys back in the day that I used to party with or whatever, and hang out with and whatever, tougher dudes or what have you, just pulling the piss out of you on socials, man. I remember when I first put up some of my headshots, and obviously my name's Daniel Goodwin, and they docked it in like little semen drips and goody gumdrops. My nickname used to be Goody back in the day, and that's how most people in NZ would know me, and just funny shit like that. And I was so pissed, man, when I saw that. I'm like, fuck, you're an asshole. And then after a while, it's just like, you got to see the funny side of it and just go with it. And then nothing really touches you after that. Yeah. You get Teflon skin, and you're just like, man, whatever, bro. You can sit back where you are doing nothing, the same old thing you were doing 10 years ago, where I'm out here getting after it, man. And I'll get messages from people, like that thing, like, I can't believe you're doing that. And like, oh man, it's inspired me to go and do something that I want to do, and you get a few of those messages, and it makes any of that other stuff just disappear, man. It's just whatever, and you don't even need to hear it from them, but it's great if you have that innate effect on them, is cool. But I went from that point and, posted everything, which you sort of take that back a bit after a while. And and then just not feeling good about any of it, man. Like, to be honest, and just pulled right back and then just inject every now and then. But even now, I've still got like a real love-hate relationship with it, if I'm honest. It's just, man, I guess sometimes you feel constantly judged, and it's when you're in probably a weird space yourself, so you need to level out, and then you get good. And then you like start going again, and then it doesn't take much for comments or whatever to hurt you a little bit. None of us are indestructible, that's for sure. So, but it doesn't even need to be that. It's just so much bullshit on there.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just doesn't make me feel good. So I'm just like, I'm on there, dude. I'm lucky if I'm on there 3 to 5 minutes. If I go on like a day, that's probably a good time. And I'm just like, off. Get back into it, man. I got to put that energy towards you. Your tank's only so much full. You can only take so many people coming at you with things, and you just got to switch off and just do what you got to do, And it's not really a selfish thing, but I guess you can say it is from the outside looking in. It might be, but it's like you got to take care of that yourself. You've only got so much energy to give out, and you got to watch who you give that to, and what you take in, and that really you learn that as you get older in life with things. And it's just, we're on a pursuit where you've got to put all your energy in. You might be working the full-time job 8 to 10 hours a day, whatever. You're in the gym 1 to 2 hours a day. You got to cook dinner and do all that other bullshit, that adulting and normal life. it might leave you a couple hours in the day that you have to utilize towards the thing you actually want to do.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And that's the simulated life that we live.
Yeah.
You know, we could go down this simulation rabbit hole if you like, but it's just the more and more I hear about it, the more I'm like, man, it makes a lot more sense than it doesn't. But even if it's not, our life is like simulated for the most part. It feels like with the 9-to-5 jobs, we're always working for someone else, another business. We're making them money. We're always making the higher ups more money so they can pull more strings, and they've always got someone ahead of them. But what are we actually doing for ourselves? You know, it's like when you can get independent or financially independent, or have your own business that you're putting your energy into something that you care about. Or, you know, we got to think of ourselves as a business a lot of the times too, with acting and everything. So they tell us, you know, it's just, it's kind of set up just to make other people, you know, rich or wealthy. And you're kind of just left kind of here, like floating in between the middle or lower and whatever. I don't want to talk. I don't mean classes or anything, because man, people are people to me, bro, and I treat it that way. You know, it doesn't matter who it is. You know, where it's you're interacting with an A-list celebrity that everybody you know worships on set. They're just people, man, and they appreciate it when you want to have a conversation. You don't hold them in this whatever regard and be super weird around them. They love it, man. They'll talk to you about anything. So it's awesome, and I've had some great experiences like that. And but yeah, or just normal people in the gym or work or whatever. You know, you're interested in them. Like it's like that. Everyone's interesting. Everyone's walking their own path in life. And I mean, you can always grab little things off everybody. You know, every little mistake you make, you can always like check yourself at the end of the day going, man, I kind of messed up a little bit there. I can learn from that next time. I won't do that, and apply it to the way you walk, you know, and the way you're going about what you're doing.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. You covered so much there.
I'm going off on tangents, bro. You know,
there's nothing wrong with tangents. I love the tangents.
I'm always hosting, so it's so weird to be in the guest spot. My first ever podcast I was a guest on, and that was like 6 or so years ago. Since then, of like 4.5 years of hosting myself, I'm used to, you know, doing it. But I catch myself going on tangents, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not the one being interviewed here. I'm the interviewer, sorry. And so it's funny. Yeah, we're just in a time warp when you're like this and locked in. And I know we've had great chats on the pods before. You know, we've gone like 2 hours or whatever both times. And I'm just like, man, we could have gone longer, and we generally do have a podcast after the podcast or whatever. And it's just, it's easy.
It's
so
it is. It's funny you say that, talking to like A-listers, just like they're normal people, because they really are. But it must be so strange on the other side of that. Like, hopefully we'll get to see the other side of the fence at one stage. But like I went to the did you go to the Actor Awards this year?
Nah, I've never been, man. I see a few people going, and I was like, man, it would have been all right. Because I was working with Ron Howard at the moment, and he was there, and I was like, damn, I wish I would, because that would have got me a little, could have had a chat, you know. There was a few people probably there. It looked cool, it
was good, but it highlighted to me, like we came out, they had a quote unquote after party after the ceremony or whatever. And like in my mind, I hadn't really thought about it until we kind of got there. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if like Margot Robbie and Simon Baker and that'll be there. I was like, surely not. And sure enough, they weren't. And it kind of clicked. Like one of the girls I was talking to was like, oh, I can't believe they're not here. Like apparently there's this VIP party going on. They're all there. And that it actually
always a bigger party.
Well,
with the party.
It clicked for me for a second. I was like, as an A-lister, like everyone sits back and they go, they go to all these prestigious awards ceremonies and these parties, and it must be so much fun and glamour. That's work for them. Like for you and me, just buying a ticket and cruising. Yeah, we're just having a few beers. We're nobodies. Nobody cares what we do. We can make absolute cocks of ourselves, and no one's going to give a fuck, really. But if you're Margot Robbie and you rock up and you go to the after party and you go, you know what? I'm going to let my hair down and get a bit tipsy and maybe dance with someone, and it looks good. Someone gets it on their phone and then it's all over the tabloids. That might ruin your marriage. It might, blow your career up or whatever.
That next movie that you got coming up.
Suddenly they don't want to work with you anymore because all you were trying to do is just let loose a little bit and have some fun. So it actually clicked then that those situations, like going off to have a private party with the other celebrities, actually makes a lot more sense, because none of them are going to be sitting there trying to get you on their phone so they can get a click on social media.
Everybody does it. It must be wild and such a thing to combat. so early on, you know, in your career as well. Like you like it for a certain extent. Oh, this is a great energy exchange until it's not. Like for so long, and everywhere you go, you can't go anywhere. Yeah, that must be wild. Yeah, I wouldn't really want that to us. You know, like it. Yeah, I know. I do want it because I want to be playing the roles that I want to play in the big films that I want to do. You know, and you know, travel around the world. You know, shooting movies. You know, that would be sick. Like that's the life, right? But it's one of those double-edged swords, man. You got to take it with, you know, heavy as the burden, you know, as the crown, basically. It's wild, man. It's funny. I was thinking that when we were shooting Eden and Sydney Sweeney was on it, right? And dude, she's only 26.
Oh, is she? I didn't know she was that young.
She's young, and man, she has got a great head on her shoulders. Like not only like a really talented actress that is just, you know, at the, you know, the world's at her feet, really, you know, with what she can do at the moment. And everybody loves her on social media and all that. She's fantastic at doing that, you know, and, you know, having a sexy image, so to speak, and playing on that. She's so smart at how she does the business management side of film. And I'm sure she's got some great people around her, of course, but she's very smart with the moves that she makes, you know, and what she's doing. But yeah, seeing her on set though, and she's just like one of us when we first got in the game. She is so energetic and so passionate and all about the film. You know, all about the characters and talking with the other actors about the all little synchronicities, you know, of the scenes and everything. And man, that was so cool to see. And she's really awesome and really fun and real sweetheart. So I was just like, okay, I'm a fan now. I'd honestly never even seen Euphoria or any of those shows or anything. I'd seen her on socials and stuff, obviously, but seeing that, I was like, girl, I'm a fan. Like, I hope you do everything that you want to do in this game, because she's real awesome and real positive influence. And I think it'd be great for like young girls, young actresses, whoever really that likes her. Like, she's good, but man, the head on, to be 26, thrust into that kind of spotlight and having that kind of thing. And she seemed pretty cool with the whole thing of the social media, you know, people taking, like, she's there for the fans and stuff like that. So, man, she's doing it well, you know, for that side of things. So, I mean, God, I don't even know how she combats all that. Yeah.
So being a stand-in, did you actually get to like hang out with her and talk to her and whatnot? Or
a little bit, but not not as much, you know, as maybe some of the others that worked with her, like Megan, that was her stand-in and body double. Like she got to work with her a lot more. But yeah, she was probably one of the ones I did actually, like, because I was standing in for Jude, you know, Jude Law. So he was on all the scenes that I was basically on. So, and I mean, he's the lead man. So I was there for the most part of the whole shooting, but we were jamming a massive feature film with, you know, such a great cast, man, like a whole host of stars. You know, you got Jude, you got Sydney, Vanessa Kirby, Anna Diartemis, and Daniel Bruh, you know, and some other guys. Toby Wallace is, I think, a Melbourne actor who's coming up, and Felix Kramer, my man Nacho, was on there. But Richard Roxburgh, an Australian, you know, talent. Like, he was a really cool dude. But so I mean, with Jude, I got to talk to the most because I was working with him.
That's cool.
The most. Oh,
how was he?
Dude, he's a legend, man. He's absolute legend.
Yeah.
Like, he's honestly the nicest guy to everyone on set. Says hello to everybody. You know how you go. Actually has chats with everyone. He's another guy that I was just, man, it's crazy, because you think all these things, you know, and like the way they're at the start. I mean, the guy's been around like there or thereabouts of the top of the heap for like 30 years, bro. Like Gattaca, I think, was like his breakout, which is like 2007, I think. It
was a great film,
or even
too.
It might be earlier than that. I could be 97. I can't really remember, but and it's like, man, the thing, you know, he was there before social media and everything, but he's not really on social media either. He's one of those ones that like made it and at the top of the game and going to get all good roles. He's a great actor as well and a movie star, you know, so he's going to get the roles anyway, so he doesn't need to, fortunately, be on social media, and that's great that you can take yourself out of that. But man, great guy. But he's another one that's just so innately passionate about the craft, like giddy passionate. Like it's wild, man. It's wild. And like, even, man, I remember one of the times when like one of the ADs are like, because it started rain, we were dealing with heat waves, crazy heat waves and storms the whole time. The worst time, and we shot everything outdoors. Nothing was studio. Yeah. Everything. So we're in the elements, man. That's so epic. You can think of how they felt, and like, you know, combating with all that and having to perform with all that too, and like almost passing out because it's that hot and things like that. But Yeah, one of the ADs was like, oh, because you're jumping under umbrellas, you're trying to mad sport to not get them wet and everything because they got to be in their costume and go out and probably do a take in 2 seconds when it stops the downpour that, what Queensland weather's like. And she's like, oh, Dan's over there. You can jump into his room. But he's like, Dan, like, comes running over, like excited to see me. And I'm just like, this is crazy, man. And then just blowing it off with him. And I'm just like, man, this is crazy that I'm at this point. Like, I'm not acting in the film. So those, were stand-in actors. We go in there, we do everything on to a certain extent on camera, all the action, sometimes dialogue and everything. Why they got lighting guys, the camera guys all set up, get their framing and everything right. And which is pretty cool because the directors and everyone's watching everything on the monitors, which you got to be mindful of.
Yes.
Oh man, you got to be mindful.
You're always mic'd up.
Yeah, always.
It's always recording.
Everyone is always watching.
When they tell you it's not, it is.
Yeah,
it still is.
Yeah, and just stuff like that. But yeah, he's just so energetic, exactly like I was describing as going down to Village Roadshow Studios. Still now, 30 years down the track.
Yeah,
and I was just like, wow, man.
Yeah.
Didn't lose it. Didn't lose that hunger and that fire for what he's doing and what he's passionate about, and obviously is his job to do. After so many years at the top of the game, man, is pretty cool to see, and that I think sets the tone for the rest of the film. Like as you got the leader as like Ron Howard, the director, but you've got the leader also as the lead man in the show, and all the other amazing actors that are on it are still leading by example too. For everyone, like even when you're in the dull days, you've been evacuated.
You've got them on the wrong ears. If
I?
Yeah, if you spin them, just flip them,
okay,
and it'll be more comfortable.
Oh, that says R and L.
Oh yeah. Oh, maybe it's wrong. Maybe I was wrong.
I was going to say, I think it still goes in and out the same way, doesn't
it? Yeah.
But no, normally they do. Yeah. I think they said left and right.
Yeah, you'd be right.
I must be right.
My mistake.
You put the ears on the wrong way.
Yeah, I probably did.
Do you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm good.
What was I saying? Yeah, the storm's coming and stuff like that, man. Stop, start and all that. But man, they shot this thing in 2 months.
Yeah, it's impressive.
For a massive feature film, huge undertaking, all outdoors, a lot of setups, that set decorations and things like that. They had to build the sets outside and have to combat with the weather and everything. But yeah, man, it's crazy. But yeah, that's what I was saying. But they're leading from the front, as an example. So when you're having a day where you're getting absolutely soaked and things like that, and you're out filming, and some of them are like, man, I can't wait to go home. I'm just drenched head to toe.
Yeah.
But those guys are just putting in that kind of energy to everything, and they've still got that love for the game in it. Like it really spurs you on to do the best job, as well.
Yeah, they're sort of the captain of the team, if you will. The director, sort of the coach. So if they're not into it and they're having a shit day, their mood is going to permeate through the crew. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone's going to start feeling shit. Everyone's going to have a shitty day. Everyone's going to be on eggshells because they don't want to piss off the lead.
And you don't know how many fires they are putting out all day long. Anyone that's made a film knows exactly what I mean. Yeah. I mean, I've never been in a war environment, but I know a lot of examples that said, we're going to war on this. You're in the trenches with everybody. You're all working towards the same thing, the accomplishment. I know that it's really not, I shouldn't say it like that, but that's the term that gets used a lot. The sentiment is there,
yeah.
And man, they are putting out fires left, right, and center like you have no idea. And they're aware of everything. They have people that deal with it, but ultimately they're answering to the main guy all the time. And then they still got to capture all the art and then all the other elements that get thrown into it of whatever it is.
It's one of the things outside of just the acting itself and the craft and getting better at it. It's one of the things I really love about film and the entertainment industry. Is it's something that I kind of lost when you leave the army, is everyone is together. Everyone wears the same uniform. We're all going towards the one goal. We all have our little role to play, but we're all chasing the one goal, whether that's, the killing the enemy, whatever it might be in the wartime sense, but you come onto a film set and it's that same principle. Everyone here is good at what they do and everyone's got their own little bit that they're looking after to work together to put together the jigsaw of the picture that we want. And it's so great being in an environment with like-minded people.
Yeah.
And even those days, it's like any other job though. There are going to be days where you're just like, oh, fuck. I'm tired. I'm not feeling it today. But even under all of that, there's always that, thank fuck I'm here. This is so good.
Yeah.
I think it's something that I think the novelty could potentially wear off years and years down the track, but it's never going to fully fade If you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of other occupations that you can get into and love it for the first 5 years, and then every year after that is just a drag and you're over it. I don't think.
And you get stuck in that mindset of that thing, man.
Yeah. I don't see film being one of those.
Well, and it's one of those things where you just don't take the project.
Yeah. Take a break.
If you don't need to do it, I mean, I'm not working full time in the film industry, although I'm trying really hard to accomplish that. And especially after working on a project like that, I was like, whatever it takes, I just got to do it. Whatever it takes for me to be on set every day. I don't mind, like, I was doubling up, like helping them, like, as I said, as like a PA a lot of the times, or whatever it is, just anything they needed, I was trying to help them. And I don't even care doing that. Like, I love the acting part, but I also love filmmaking. And I don't mind starting at the bottom, you know, that's for sure, because I'm still on a film set. I'm still putting my energy towards something I 100% believe in. And I don't really care what it is. Even if I am holding an umbrella for somebody or whatever, like, it's just, man, I'm still there doing the thing that I want to do. So that's the most important thing to me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Fulfillment, you know, I think that's what we all search for in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
To a certain extent, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I feel sorry for people who don't find something like this that they can really sink their teeth into, and you know, but that's not to discourage anyone, because there's people out there that, like, they're not fussed about work. Like, I don't give a fuck about my job, whatever. I don't care, as long as it pays me enough to do this hobby that I enjoy doing on the weekends.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or just spending more time with the family. That's fine, but I think it'd be a shame for people not to find something in their life that they get that true enjoyment and fulfillment out of.
Do some people are so satisfied with that, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a conversation that I had with a friend of mine over here, and he was pretty much that way. He's like, didn't really, you know, like, probably enjoyed doing whatever, like, things give him a tickle in the job or whatever. But he's like, man, I don't care, as long as I've got money coming in, then I can pay all my bills, and I've got beer in the fridge, and I can go out fishing on the weekend or whatever. I'm good with that. Yeah. And in my mind, alarm bells are going, I want so much more than that. Yeah. But I didn't understand it at the time. Yeah. Until way later on, you know, when I've been knocked down a bunch of times from the film industry and whatever, had to pick myself back up, recalibrate, and go again, re-energize and go again. It's a constant thing sometimes that you got to deal with, and that's a hard thing in itself, you know. Yeah. At some point you go, man, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, this sucks, this part.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something I'll do.
Resilience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something I'll do to the end of time.
Me too.
You know, whether I make it big or not, at some stage it'll potentially just become, you know, a hobby on the side, and if I'm not in that full time, I might have to pick up other work and continue, but I'll still do it. It's still fun. Yeah. I still enjoy it. Yeah. You know, you play make believe. Like, that's what we did as kids. Exactly. It's a run around. Like, that's one of the things that is really impressive is child actors. Like, how good they are. Like, they've got we have life experience to draw on. And there's that awkward period where, you know, if you're like straight out of high school, like 18, unless you've had a real fucked up childhood that you can draw on some horrible experiences or whatever, like, you haven't got any life experience. So you're probably not that great an actor because you physically don't know what shit's like. Yeah. Like, you got nothing to compare it to. Yeah. Child actors, though, like, they're before that. They've got even less, and they're just phenomenal. Some of them are incredible. You watch me like, how the fuck? Yeah. Where did you get that? Like, you're 5. Where did you pull that from? I wish I could be like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I wonder what it is sometimes, eh? Like, obviously they were probably natural performers anyway, whether you can call that a thing or what, you know. And so they maybe naturally perform for their parents, or they've been involved in drama and stuff, like in school, things. Like, I never really did much of that, you know. Yeah, I think I was in one play when I was in primary school. It was like Oliver Twist, and I was a pickpocket, you know.
Yeah, nice.
But I still made my little moment count when I stole that guy's wallet, you know. I remember that, and I obviously had a direct intention of what I was doing, even though I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I wonder whether, they're so heavily involved in drama, so it's a visualization thing for them, or an imaginative thing.
Yeah, it might be their imagination.
Well, see, that's something that I think I need to tap it, because I have a wild imagination with that. And even though I've lived experiences, that is way easier for me to tap into than anything else. Like, I literally did a self-tape, you know, like last night and today, and it was just me and the camera.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty full on dramatic stuff, a massive arc for the character.
Yeah.
That's why I had fun with it. And I did it, even though I didn't even know if I wanted to take the commercial if I got it.
Yeah.
Because of what I had to play on screen. But I used it as an acting exercise because I really wanted to do more acting.
Yeah.
And but it's like, and so I had to make this whole scenario up, and you can have like, we've talked about it before. There's techniques and things like this. And you're like, I remember you saying, and I repeated this when I was doing we were doing scene classes at my house the other night. And I remember you saying, man, I think sometimes all these teachers and everything, like everybody's overthinking this so much.
Yeah.
That stuck with me, bro, when you told me that night, because I'm a massive overthinker anyway, because I've got a lot going on there in my mind. I analyze myself and everything going on around me. I'm very, very self-aware, which is great for the stand-in work. And I even got a compliment for Ron Howard from it, but we can get to that after. But and take everything in around you, but you're constantly stimulated in that way too, which can take away from your performance, And I think that's what, too much prep work or whatever it is, channeling these things and all the substitutions, that we learn as actors and things like that to use. Where I remember I was shooting Hard Knock Life, the web series up the Sunny Coast, and this other chick came in. She was just here from the Sunny Coast. She came in as a guest spot, was playing one of my love interests at the time. But she'd been in America and Canada for quite a while working. And I can't remember what technique she said, but I want to message her and ask her, because it's stuck with me that I haven't researched, that it was all on imaginative behavior and everything to, channel that in your scenes, which I think I can tap into way easier than all the other stuff, and completely overthinking it and cooking my brain trying to do it and then just being there on screen, if you know what I mean. Like and because I like, it's something Tom McSweeney said to me ages ago. He's like, oh, like you're constantly beating yourself up, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know I'm capable of so much more. But the whole thing may be overthinking and spiraling in my mind sometimes. And then sometimes I'll just hit it, and that's great. That's the best moments. But there's other ones where you're like already beating yourself up on camera because you've missed a line, sometimes like things like that. That's what he said to me anyway. So I think that imagination, I don't think it was Uta Hagen, but I know that's a technique that's pretty common. I don't know.
Never heard that word before in my
Really?
life.
Uta Hagen, Utahagen. Yeah, Peter Rasmussen teaches it a lot. I think I just saw a thing go around the other day. I'm not sure if it was that one though. I just need to read. There's probably very little of them, you know. But there was a school in, I think, California, where this girl was that she told me she went to. And it just sounded like, I was like, man, that's the technique I think I need to explore. And I've totally forgot. I'm so bad with names, man. I never forget anyone's face. Like, I'll know you out of a crowd, even if I've seen you on Bumble or one of the dating apps, and I'll see a girl in the gym or somewhere out, I'm like, I know her from somewhere. And I'm like, did we go on a date or not? And I would remember if we went out on a date, but I'm just like, oh, I bet you it's from the dating apps, because you see so many faces all the time. But names I can't remember, and I've forgotten what she said, but I want to message her and see what it is, because I really think that's something that I could look into, to tap into, to get the best out of me and my acting. Because I think I definitely probably overthink it sometimes, and I've tried to, it's really stuck with me that last time you said it. It may have been the last time we did that podcast, I think. I think it was about a year ago, because you were doing work on Nautilus as well. But it was way after that. But there was something happened. No, you went to either an acting class or something, or it was like some guy giving like a speech or a lecture or something. I remember you saying about it, which and you just said it, and I don't even know if it was what the guy taught you, or you just thought the guy that was teaching it was full of shit, and that's what you got to, like.
Oh yes,
that what,
I can't remember the dude's name was, but it was a couple of days. Yeah, it was like a weekend workshop thing. Yeah, and he was saying that, he's like, I think there are sort of strategies and there's techniques that you can use, but I think people in like a teaching capacity sometimes like to complicate it and overthink it and make it into this mysterious thing. You come to my classes, I can teach you for 10 years at $1,000 a month or whatever, this thing. And
there's a lot of that in the industry too.
You know, snake oil salesman. I think like there's definitely there are definitely techniques and there's things that do work and whatnot, but I think at some point you just have to like, just relax. Stop, like, just don't overcomplicate it so much to a point that you are just so in your head you can't perform.
Yeah.
You're thinking about 10,000 different things. There's already so much to think about on a film set if you're in the spotlight acting, you know. Where's the camera? I don't want to barrel that. Where am I looking on your eye? What are you doing? Where was I when I said that word? It's the third take. Got to pick up that cup. We're doing this. There's all the background information, all the character information, the story arc, the what's the subtext of the scene we're doing, the objective that I'm going. There's all that already. If you're adding all these other
and that's a lot. Just that,
you know, you're adding all this extra shit. Like I got to drink the drink. Just drink the fucking drink. You know, don't worry about trying to make it look. Just pick it up and drink it. Yeah. However you would do it, that's fine.
Yeah, they'll do something with it in the edit. They'll use it. They can strategically do it with enough takes. Yeah. And sometimes they can't because it depends on what kind of set you're working on. But yeah, that's for sure. And it's funny because because it's literally stuck with me for a long period of time, that what you said. And I think about it quite often. And I try, you know, you're constantly always trying to be the best version of yourself in life and as acting and get better, you know, and more natural, obviously, and connect more in both forms as well. But and I was thinking about it when we were shooting Eden, and I was talking with my mate John, who's one of the other stand-ins, and there was this scene that we happened to be sitting in on in the self-made set or whatever, and like Jude and Sydney were doing a scene, and it was pretty full on. But at the point it was very little dialogue, right? And there was only a couple of lines Jude had to do, but he did it several times in such a different way. And we both literally went, you know, like that, and turned to each other, just go, wow. Like the change in formation that happened between the couple of lines that he did and how he said, it might have been a couple of words, but it was just so different and just so powerful. And you're just like, God damn, that's where he is right now, you know? But it was a real learning curve in that thing as well, because we were looking at it going, oh yeah, this ain't going to take long, or what, you know, whatever we're doing, we're probably going to be on the next setup, we're probably going to get wrapped soon, you know. And I was like, damn it, I want to stay, you know. But yeah, he did something with that, and I'm like, man, like, I wonder, you know, because obviously you learn the lines, you learn them so well, and then you got to let them go, right? And so that just, whatever came natural to him, whatever he was, I'm not really sure of his process, you know. I didn't get to ask him about any of that. I wish I did, but, you know, didn't have that opportunity. But yeah, to get something massive and so different out of just so little was just, I was just like, yeah, that's it. You could overthink those couple of lines or just underthink them completely and just throw them away. That was not throwing them away. That was like giving so much meaning to each word in so many different ways in the scene that's crazy already. That just blew me away, you know, and I was like, fuck, that is acting.
Yeah,
you know?
having options there. Yeah. When you get to that level, you can chop and change it a whim and it's all going to work.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, I'll just fucking cut it. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But yeah, it's a thing, man, because like one of my biggest fears, and it definitely holds me back a lot of the times, or is like a crutch for me, is like I don't want to stuff up, you know. I don't want to let anyone down by not knowing the lines. So I try to learn them as much, you know, as much as I possibly can. But as you know, you can overdo that as well, and then it just comes out like regurgitated garbage. And it's that point of letting go though too, and trusting yourself to know them. But that's a real, you know, that's a bit of a thing that I'm always working on, you know, to be better. And I think that's where that thing that you said stuck with me, because I think that was a little bit of a key to, I just slightly jarred the door open, if you know what I mean, when you said that, because also before, and I've been in like acting class before, and I won't name the teacher or anything, he's like, because what I liked about it, you know, when you get those moments when you're acting with someone that make like you have those moments and it's so genuine and you feel it and you're like, whoa, and they're like, whoa, and you're like, yeah, we did that. Like, and that doesn't always happen, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen. Sometimes only, you know, a little bit. And I got to be honest, that's probably, you know, happened a handful of times in all the films that I've probably been involved in. I think because you made me write that little bio before we started, I looked and I was like, oh man, I've been involved in over 50 productions. I'm like, that's quite a lot. Like,
it is.
You know, at an independent level and, you know, working at a small level on the blockbuster ones. But I was just like, I remember like those moments are why I'm doing, other than all the other things we've just spoken about at length on this pod. But those moments, I'm just like, man, that's living. And I know it's not living in general, but it's living in the moment, and it's living in that embodiment of that character with another person living in their embodiment of that character, and we're making it real for us and for the scene. That's gonna look great. Yeah. And I remember saying, like, that's what I'm trying to achieve. When I don't know, you put me on the spot about something like techniques and all this sort of stuff, and I'm just like, man, I'm just doing it, and when I feel it, and I just like, you know, lean into it or whatever, and I was just like, that's what. But he's like, yeah, you got to have something prepared though. He's right though, to a certain extent, you got to have something prepared to like channel to actually get that across, even if you're not feeling that, which was, you know, a learning moment in that part. But it was almost like that's what he leans into all the time. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, but wouldn't that kind of cheat you out of getting to that moment and that feeling too? So it's a fine balance between it all. Yeah. I mean, it's why they get paid the millions of dollars, the best actors, is because it's so goddamn hard to do. But yeah.
And there's a million ways to skin a cat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me.
More than likely won't, but you can get little breadcrumbs from each other that unlock something, like I just said before, in yourself, and you're like, I'm looking at this totally different. I need to look at it in another wavelength, you know?
Yeah. Like, I don't write, I don't know about you, I don't write all over my script. Yeah. I write nothing on my script. I can never think of what to write. And the second I write something, I have a completely different thought or take on it.
Do you mean character breakdown and things like that?
I don't read it. I do it, everything that's in here.
Okay.
I will sit there and I'll think about, like, I'll read the sides or whatever, or the scenes, whatever I've got to do, and I'll think about that for the next week leading up to whatever the thing. Just constantly just run it around in my head, but I don't write anything.
I don't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's always on my mind at some capacity, you know, and you think a little, this might, you know, that intention there. Oh yeah, that's the subtext they're going for, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I'm pretty good with subtext. Like, I can just see it and break that down. That's something that comes down to me naturally. But yeah, I've done both as well. Like, I've written too much down and too much on a character breakdown. But then you also got to do, like, well, so they say, you know, the exploratory work to find the triggers in all that goes to you. So, I mean, how do you work with that part, or you don't, and you just wing it in the moment?
Yeah,
like
I just wing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I'm doing it, I just kind of, I can read it and I can see how it plays out. Like in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I run the scene in my mind. I imagine how it all goes. And
visualization.
I'm like, I visualize it all. I'm like, this is how this would work. And I can see this happening, and this and this and this would go down, and I can see why it'd be like it's just, that's how it runs in my brain.
Yeah,
me too. If I write something down, but then I see all these people with shit written all over their scripts. Yeah. And I'm like, am I fucking this up? Like, would you write on your script?
No.
Would you write
that's
on
for
there?
them.
Like, you know
that's
what I mean?
for them. You don't need to know any of that. Yeah, it's only going to confuse you more if you read someone else's script. But dude, I've done it before.
Not even for that scene, but just to see like what kind of shit they write. Because I'm like, should I be writing? Bro.
That's their brains and different forms of thinking.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes maybe those people will be really messy too. Like, they'll have messy cars, which I see all the time. I don't even know how they could have these brand new cars and they are just trashed. Yeah. I'm like, I could not live like this. Yeah. This would give me an anxiety attack getting into the car in the morning, seeing this amount of rubbish. Because I'm really like clean, like a bit of, you know, you could say clean freak or whatever. I need everything clean, because if everything's clean around me, then my mind's clear and I can access more of it. That's how I work.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are pretty scattered, you know, in their minds, and that's what they have, the little notes. Maybe they're really messy people. You go into their rooms and they're just, you know, pretty trashed, like everywhere, or their house, and they're just naturally like that. I definitely break down the characters too, but it's like, even then, once again, like that, like the audition I just did today and last night, like I did it, because I already knew the intention behind it. You know, I mean, TVC's it's pretty set, but I already knew this character. That's why I wanted to do it, because I knew I could play it, although I wasn't sure if I actually wanted it or not.
Yeah. I know
because
the one
I don't know if I want.
Yeah.
Okay, did you do it?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But
I was I was like, I don't even know, but I was like, man, I'll probably get it too. That'll be the funny thing. That's happened before though.
It's a good payday.
If there was
it's exposure.
Yeah.
It's all good.
If it was like a little more like you know, a little more abusive, not just psychological.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because like that's just, there's a couple of things you don't do in this world, and that's like, abuse a woman, especially physically, like on I think that's not what I want going on TV or anything like fair. That. But better not probably say too much more of that. But and it's like I didn't break those down because I already knew what this was. Yeah. Like, and I'm like you too, where I imagine it. So that's probably why you're like, oh, what's the imagination thing? Because maybe that's how you work as well. Yeah. Like I have a very vast imagination. I see it all playing out. Yeah. Like I can see everything, like the whole scene, the everything, the little moments, everybody doing what they're doing already in my head when I'm reading. I think some people aren't like that. I remember reading that, funnily enough, on another dating profile on someone's funny thing, is that there's actually people that don't think of anything in their head, bro. They don't visualize anything at all. And I was like, what is that like? Yeah. I wouldn't want it. But what is that like to just have nothing? What is it? Just like a drone in their mind? Like, what is that like? It'd be because mine's overstimulating to the best degree that I could even say to someone. Like, it's wild what's going on in my head. Like, just every interaction of the day. Like, oh man, I'm just I was blown away by that. But I think I do it too. I don't know if it helps writing it down. I think it does if you got a lengthy character breakdown and you're playing, like, for example, a character over a series. You know, and there's a lot of arcs to all the scenes and everything, and sometimes that will affect your behavior later on, because they wouldn't do that. Like, why would they do that after they've already done it this way and they're scared of that part, or like whatever it is, or this is going to be emotionally uncomfortable for them to talk about this part that's really sensitive if they're playing a big burly bloke. That's you're going to be awkward when you're dropping all that on a girlfriend or whatever it is. But and that's the thing for like breaking it down to be able to hit those emotional levels or get those substitutions and stuff. I got to say, like, some of that works and some of it really doesn't for me. Well, it hasn't for me, or I just haven't had the ability to access that yet, or I haven't done enough of the work to access it, which I still don't know if that even is the right way to do it or not. I didn't do theater as a kid. I've done a lot of workshops. I've done a lot of courses. I've had a lot of acting coaching and so many different varieties, but I still don't know if I've found anything that actually, like, remotely work. I just take bits and pieces from all of it and then this, and then just do my best with what I've got at this point. Like, none of, you know how some people are just like, I'm Chubbuck technique. Yeah. I'm Eric Morris. I'm Uda Hagen. I'm, Stanislavski. I'm all these different techniques, and they're like really down the line with it. Yeah. But I will say one that did really work for me and had an opening was like the Eric Morris technique with Charles Allen here in Brizzy. But that was more to go on with the overstimulating mind and how my mind works and how I'm breaking it down and all the things going on like that is once again, I was never good at meditation. I was like, there is so much going up on here. Good luck trying to calm that down at any time. But over a lot of persistence and reluctancy of doing it, I have got way better at doing it. It does work. Yeah. And I've even got it to a point where I can do really quick meditations, even with my eyes open and day to day. I test myself with like really overstimulating environments too, like next to a main road, all this going on, everything chirping on outside you, and I'm able to go in, even with my eyes open, just simple breathing techniques to ground myself or whatever, and then I could just go about my day. It helps really well when you're in a situation where someone's yelling at you or whatever it is, but that definitely helped. But he made us like do this thing where you're like sensitizing to your body, and getting in touch with it, and like we had to lay on the ground, and he was like voicing us through kind of a meditation, and I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And it turns out, I think we were doing it for like 45 minutes, which I didn't even know after like the first initial 15 minutes of going, oh, this is the reluctancy of it all. Yeah. It actually kind of worked. Like I was way more ready to go and do what I had to do. I'd cleared a lot of the bullshit out of my mind and my body. And so I was able to, you know, get in touch with that character a lot more, or just being in a better place to do what I had to do. And that was something that I was probably struggling with before, or I'd somehow worked out how to just whatever use all that in the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, so man, I don't know. Like, there's no fine science to it all, but
Yeah.
that definitely, some of that worked, and the breakdown of characters and everything, I really enjoyed that. That was a good one, I think. It helps for that breakdown, but yeah, I've thrown it out of the window in auditions too, and just gone, okay, I'll learn the lines, and I'm just gonna wing it on the spot. And well, not wing it, but like, yeah, just do, do. I've got these things that I like to say to myself, whatever you want to, you know, provocative words or whatever you want to call them. But it's like, do more, think less.
Yeah.
That's me at the moment.
Yeah.
Just stop overthinking it and just do the damn thing.
Yeah.
Just so I'm more active, you know, and just doing more and just keep going. Because I'll just overthink them.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you spend all day thinking, then you never
You
get anything
nowhere.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
You go, I'll do it tomorrow.
Or you'll just figure it out why you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that was the cataclysmic moment that needed to get the cog turning, you know? Like, otherwise the cog's just spinning there and it's not connecting with the other, you know? And then you just keep spinning and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and you never engage. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. And it's one of those things too. Like, your performance and the way that you do things is also informed by the other person, like the scene character you're in. Like, you can go and you can rehearse it a certain way and be like, yeah, this is it. This is definitely how it's going to go. And then you go and they've thought about things completely differently and come at you from somewhere you did not expect. And if you stick to exactly how you've fucking rehearsed it, it's not going to marry up, and it's going to look weird. It's not going to pair, and it's not going to create what you want to create. So you got to then pivot, and you're like, oh fuck, I didn't see it coming like that. Oh fuck. And it changes everything.
Yeah.
And
as long as you don't get stuck in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you don't get stuck in it, which we've probably both done that before.
Yeah.
Gone,
Yeah.
oh, you know, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
But that works better. I like it when you've got your idea of whatever it is, which, you know, that's the work or whatever, that's what you're supposed to do. And then they come in with that, but automatically you just change your energy and adapt in the situation, you know, and then it creates, that's the beautiful thing about art and performing with someone else is because those merges of energy create something really awesome while you're doing it. And that's when you feel it. That's when you hit those moments that we were talking about before, I feel. But as long as you don't just stick your feet in the ground, you know, and get stuck in the mud. Yeah. Because that's what you could do if you're married to your ideas way too much. Yes. But I think also innately in your mind, if you do have that idea and you let it go, you've already kind of baked that in a little bit. So you're going to be, if they come at you 3 steps forward, more forward than you thought they were in intensity, you are gonna stick yourself there, but so would your character, you know, because you're like, what the hell? No, you can't come at me like that, you know, and you push back. And then that creates that tension in the scene. Yeah. So that also works, you know. Yeah. There's a fine line between it all, and it's all different for everything, and there is no right or wrong answer.
That's right. Oh, man.
It's about 10 plus years in the industry, that's what I've got.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Which equates to about fuck all, really. Neither of us know what we're doing. We're just getting there.
We're still doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I think that's... it's probably a good time to take a quick break. To be honest.
I can see your timer from here.
Yeah. I need a pee too.
Yeah, do you?
All right.
I held on nice.
Yeah, let's take a quick break and we'll come back in a second. All right, so we're back from the break, and I think before we went to take a whiz, we were talking about like your choices with acting and getting stuck in like your way of doing things. I think that also translates to life in general, like getting stuck in the same idea and not being open to change that or, you know, be influenced by anyone else. I think there's definitely some times where it's really good to be stuck. You know, if you've got your principles or whatever and you stick to them, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think, you know, life, it's a lot about learning and having conversations with people who might have differing opinions to what you've got and being open to change it, you know, and being open and receptive to what their point of view might be, because you might be wrong and not even know it. What do you reckon?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think the easy way is to be married to an idea and just stick with it and put your feet down and just say I'm firm here and nobody's gonna sway me, you know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't get you very far. It doesn't help you with growth in life either. I think, like you said, there's certain fundamentals. Like I think, morals is one. that I think in this day and age where everyone's got an OnlyFans and all this crazy stuff, man, it's wild and it blows my mind. And I think that for my parents, growing up and having good morals and stuff like this, but it's pretty damn wild, man. I'm just like, yeah, there's a few like OnlyFans chicks and like influencers or whatever you speak that were trained out of the gym that I'm in.
Yeah.
And like the stuff that they're posting, they might not be doing OnlyFans stuff, some of them, but they definitely do lingerie and all this, just posting all up on their normal stuff. So I don't really know what they're doing on their OnlyFans, but I know some of them are doing a lot more.
Yeah. Well, it's OnlyFans. It's like, it's what it is.
I know, but it's like, to me, it's like, man, I don't know if I'd want like my girlfriend doing that. I think like, morals, man, like, just like, stuff like that you're doing, you keep that at the bedroom at home. It's like, if you're showing that to everybody else, what have you got left for your significant other, your partner that you want to show them? I mean, I don't know, like, it's kind of weird to get your head around. I guess it's normal for a lot of them because they've grown up with it, but, or whatever they're trying to chase. I don't know. But I feel like at some point, unless, which it could happen, society goes so left field and crazy where we're just showing everything now because to be fair, everybody does show their day in lives, on the internet and everything like that on socials. But you got to have some normalcy that you keep to yourself. Otherwise, do you lose yourself and that becomes your life, which I guess is a lot of the case with virtual reality and everything, the way it's going with AI and everything as well, man. Like, I'm kind of out. Like, I love nature, man, and getting the simple things like that. And I think that's why I've like gravitated towards out of the social media thing as well that I was talking about before, because I'm just so aware of it. And I'm like, man, I don't even really want a part of this anymore, to be fair. I'll just put up cool things that I think are cool, and that I'm doing, like promoting gigs or whatever you're doing. But yeah, it's a wild mindset to be in. And I guess that's the old school way of thinking. But I think morals is important. It's something that I hold dear and that I'll stick to, I think. And I do know there's younger people that still have that kind of mindset too and aren't showing everything. There's a clear difference from the clout chasing way. But in saying that, there's monetary value from a lot of it too. And I mean, they're hustling and making more money, than we probably are. Yeah. And then they can probably chase it's like, well, if I had an OnlyFans, then maybe I could stop selling myself for someone else. And like in the 9 to 5 scope of things and be able to support myself and then do more with my everything that I'm chasing. But I think for sure, like when you get stuck in a mindset in other capacities, right? Yeah. And it's good to have the beliefs, I think, are solid, but I think I'm always open to change, man. I don't know, like, I know what I know now, but that might be different tomorrow, I might say what I say now on the pod, but that might be different tomorrow. And I think everybody's like judges people on what they say now and, all the craziness of the cancel culture. But it's like, we're people at the end of the day, we change, we grow. And that's the whole idea of living a life, I think. Yeah. And I'm always open to it, man. Like, from anybody that I talk to, I know I can learn something from. That's why I have conversations with people. I enjoy connecting with people. That's half the reason why I started the pod, and I think we're both open because that's why we have good conversations a lot of the time as well, like this, whether it's on or off camera. We're open to change, we're not stuck in our ways, so to speak. But yeah, I think it could be hard for people though, too, because I think if they're married to that idea or whatever it is, philosophy or what have you, or maybe they're heavily religious or something like that, so there's a lot of boundaries that would cross whatever their beliefs are. So that makes it hard as well. We're kind of governed by it too. And then it's like, maybe some of it's in our DNA, maybe some of it we get from our parents, most of it probably. And then you go out in the world, which is probably partly why I moved over here too, to find a different world, to make mistakes on my own so I can learn from them and not just be so like, oh, everything's this way and that's how it has to be. Because, yeah, man, that's tough on yourself, not to mention everybody else as well. And I just feel you can learn from anyone in every given situation.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I think we're all guilty of it. Like, I know I'm certainly guilty of being stuck in the mud, as it were, and stuck to my same ideas and being inflexible with them. It's something I'm trying to work on. But I think that's one of the the purposes of life, is to try and work on yourself and be better day by day, year in, year out. So eventually you get to a point where you're actually a really good person, and a really well-rounded person. I think the OnlyFans is a funny one that you've brought up. I don't like you do you, boo. Like if that's what you want to do, go nuts.
Yeah.
But my mind goes to like you finish doing that at what maybe you did it for a year, 2 years, whatever.
Yep.
The age of the internet, that's out there forever. It's never coming back. You can't save those videos. Like they're gone. But then if you have kids and your kids go to school,
20 years from now, like, they see that.
Yeah.
And, I saw mummies, I
don't know, like you do you, boo. Like whatever. I'm not going to judge you for it. I just like I could not live with that.
Nah.
Like, but imagine your son goes to school and he's getting in a, slinging sticks and stones with someone, and then anything he says, any fight he gets into or argument is going to end with that.
Yeah.
Like, you just set your kid up to fail every fucking argument he's ever going to have.
Yeah. We've all had that friend that has a hot mum, right?
Yeah.
That we used to give them shit about.
Yes.
I'm going to your house later. Are we hanging out? No, I'm going to see your mum. We've all known those people,
Man.
And that was like the old school OnlyFans, like coming to haunt your back, or almost, or something you can't help clearly. But it's wild to me too, man. That's why I think morals are important, and stick to them. And I mean, I guess they can change, but I think you have a moral scope of things, and how you are in your being, and kind of the moment you go against that, and it, you sell yourself out, to something, and that can't feel good. And I guess at some point people get a low point, and then that's just what they decide to do. And then, but that stains you, man.
Yeah.
Like that stains you for life. You've always got that feeling. It's like, if you do something shitty to somebody, you're going to be thinking about that later and go, God, I was an idiot. Like I got to apologize to them. And it's never too late to apologize too. If you do something silly, and it's a growing moment. But yeah, man, I mean, I've never ever been on an OnlyFans thing. I know girls that like, it's funny because like the fake ones come up, like, and these girls or whatever, and then they'll add you like on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like,
the bots.
I'm like, huh? Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, and then you check it out because you're like, what? They've got an OnlyFans? Like, you can't believe it. Like, I mean, just check out the profile to see what it's about.
Yeah, sure, Dan. Whatever. How much is your credit card bill every month? How much are you spending on the
tight
OnlyFans?
with my money. You ain't getting shit off me, man. It's all going into me or the projects, and you check it out and it's just like a fake account. And you're like, Jesus, man, that's surprising. But to be fair, like even some of the younger chicks that I know, like you still see them posting like lingerie photos on their Instagram, and you're like, God damn, all right, like this is kind of wild, like to be putting that out there for everybody to see. It's usually things you would do in your own home, like
but I mean, at the same time, I've posted the shirtless selfie at the gym or whatever. Like we've all done it. I know.
I know. You're one of my main commenters.
Yeah. We got to pump each other up, bro. Got to pump each other up.
Every time I do it, it's always guys commenting.
Yeah.
And it's generally you, or if you're my other mates. And I'm just like, cheers, brother, and we'll do it to each other, It's like you got to pump each other up. But it's like, the girls are watching, but they're just like in the murky waters.
They're just smarter than us.
Yeah.
Women, I think, in general, it's just smarter than us. They play the game so much better.
Yeah, ridiculous. I would agree with that to a certain extent. Yeah, they are.
But yeah, like I'm not really, I don't really care too much about the lingerie. Like for most people, I think as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you do you. Like,
no fear. No fear. I'm not really judging. I just think it's kind of wild, like the times where it's turned to what we remember because we grew up without phones and the internet.
Yeah. It's definitely come. It's a long way
so
from where we were. I remember the old Nokia 3310s playing Snake. How sick was that? It's crazy to think that we're now, sit on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Video in 4K.
You have such a powerful device at your fingertips. Yeah. Yeah. And you're taking butt pics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they smarter?
No. They are because they're suckering all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind a butt pic either, but yeah.
That's right. A good butt. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I can appreciate the work that went in.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of those things where we're sort of almost back to fitness again. It's one of those things. Like a good physique, it shows a lot of dedication, a lot of work that's been put in, a lot of effort, a lot of self-discipline, a lot of yeah, so much goes into achieving a physique like that. So it's impressive.
What do you think? It's kind of wild. Like, I didn't really realize it. Like, maybe I'm just naive to the whole thing, but like, you know, TRT or like test and and I don't mean that for like an older. Well, I mean, obviously, like older people can do it. You know, guys that are over 50, 60, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Anyone over 35, really.
Yeah,
the male testosterone begins to trend downwards after about 35.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that, bro.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know, bro. Just letting you know.
I just keep getting after and stimulate myself by my surroundings.
Yeah.
But dude, there's a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
19, 18, 17, 20, whatever. Turns out they're like all on gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just want the quick gains, you know, for the gram or whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, I guess done right to a certain extent, it's probably not so bad, but I mean, who really does it right when you're like probably young and don't even have money and you want those quick gains anyway? So you're going to shortcut things because, I mean, I know and I respect anyone that gets in the gym and that's working hard or like works on their nutrition or does any kind of exercise or sport or whatever, you know, it takes dedication, like a lot of things in life. And it takes a lot of energy and focus, and that's great. And I know people that, are on test or whatever, they still got to work like beasts.
Yes.
I'm jealous of their recovery.
Yeah, it's a PED, performance enhancing drug. It's not a performance creating drug. So those guys that, like the Mr. Olympias and whatnot, they're still eating right. They're training their ass off day in, day out. They're getting their sleep right. They're taking their vitamins. They're doing everything else right. They're just also taking the androgenous testosterone, which it increases what their body is capable of. Yeah, but they still got to work. Like, you can't just take it, sit on the couch, and be Arnold. It's not how that works.
No, of course not. But but there's like young guys at my gym that a lot I didn't know. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, they're pretty jacked, you know. Yeah. Like, but yeah, then like a mate of mine will be like, bro, like half of these guys are all on gear too, and and he's like, you and I are like natural, and getting pretty good results, you know. But it's wild, man. Like, just that shortcut, I don't know, like it's got to have detrimental effects down the track, obviously. So it's said with science, you know, with
trade-off.
The younger guys, I mean.
It's going to crash your endocrine system. Your natural testosterone production completely dives to zero.
So that would mean you'd have to keep taking tests way into later in life, and I don't think you can. You'd like
no. There's ways to kind of re-stimulate it, but it can be very detrimental. Even taken correctly, it can be very detrimental. So it's a bit of a trade-off, I suppose.
Double-edged sword. Once again, we have gone full circle.
Yeah. So talk me through the podcast. How did your podcast come
about? Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I never listened to podcasts. A mate of mine, Tristan, was telling me, you got to get on this, bro. You got to get on this. And I'm like, dude, these are 3 hours long. I do not have that time.
Yeah.
Turns out I do. And I love them. And they're great for education. Not just Joe Rogan, obviously, but and he has some fantastic guests on.
He does.
Amazing. But so do a lot of other people. And they're great for comedy podcasts and things like that. Like, I'm not into the true crime stuff that all the chicks seem to be or whatever else.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, it's
chicks,
a weird one.
They're all into the true crime.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Well, I think it's the same way that people get engaged to serial killers in jail, right?
Yeah, but
it's just that fear of, I don't know what, getting strangled and killed. But they chicks are into choking too. So that was a weird one for me to get my mind around with my morals that we were talking about before. I was so weirded out by it, man, when it first started. Yeah, and then I remember a chick tried to choke me, and I'm like, nah, this ain't happening.
Get off me.
And then I kind of enjoyed it after that. I mean, not getting strangled, doing it, but in a safe setting, kids. Yes. So it's still weird. I kind of. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's like this control thing, right? And having control over life and death and the excitement of it. But yeah, man, podcasts are great in general. But yeah, once I started doing it, I'm like, oh man, these are pretty good. You know, put them in while you're working on that 9 to 5 that you don't like if you're able to do it. And it makes your day a bit better. And then you learn stuff. And then you can listen to acting ones or whatever it is that you're into. And then that obviously boosts you up for later on. But he used to encourage people all the time when I first started listening to them to start their own podcast. And then eventually I just listened. Yeah. And there wasn't really anyone that I knew doing them at the time. It was not early on, and podcasting was probably still into 5 or 6 years, or maybe 10 years, maybe in the US. Some people would like the first, pod fathers and stuff like Adam Curry and all those guys that Rogan says sort of started the movement, so to speak. But yeah, and it's just, I don't know, they seemed like a good time, a fun hang and everything, like on the pods. And I think it was more to, I was coming out of something that was, that, hurt me a lot, hurt my belief system, my confidence, which, like if you know me, I'm a pretty confident guy, for the most part, and it drives a lot of it. But yeah, it was something that happening in acting and with friends and like a lot. It's a big thing. Like, yeah, it just like kind of like I was just there left hanging because I had put so much energy into a few projects consecutively and into the people involved. And then when things fell apart, it's kind of, I don't know if I really want to go into it too much because I have spoken about it before, but we can. But I just won't name names and stuff like that.
You go as far as you're comfortable going, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go all the way with you.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, yeah, like, so after like doing a bunch of projects with a lot of people, and it's been amazing times. It's some of the best times of my life, but whatever, a certain project, and there was some conflict there, and probably everyone had their part to a certain degree, but and it just kind of, it fell apart a little bit before we were going to shoot some scenes. And then like someone's that your friend, that you rely on each other, support structures through the years, and just done like a lot of cool stuff together, and or whatever for it to, but artists are kind of unique and can have moments, that you don't really mean or whatever. But yeah, we were just sort of like running lines like before we went on the takes, and certain lines were missed, and I was just like, oh hey, no, it's this and this and this, and then it turned into a big thing, and then stormed out, and then we didn't talk, and then all of a sudden it's hours later, and we got to go and shoot these really emotional scenes and be super connected with each other, and then you go into an environment that like a film set. We were talking about energies and everything before, that was already on eggshells most of the day. So you didn't know what the crew and everybody were going to. So, but you felt it in the air, man. And like whether you believe in these things or not, but it was like a full moon, but not just a full moon. It was a red blood moon. It's very rare. And so energies are always going crazy. Anyway, I don't know if anyone else will realize this, but people do that to sort of understand this stuff. But like in a full moon, energies go crazy. And people don't really know how to place themselves. They lash out a bit. It's a thing. Whether you're tapped into it or not, it's very noticeable. Even when like I see it with people that don't even know what's going on, and then they're like, I don't even know what's going on with me today. Rah, rah, rah. Full moon, baby. Like it swirls the energies all around. It's like we're all connected, man, in this like universe, and like all the environment and the animals and the people and everything, man, gives off an energy signature. And if you're tapped in, you can feel it. And maybe you can feel it, but you just don't even know what it is, which was like me when I was younger.
So how did you tap into it? How did you come to that?
Well, it was like I sort of explained to before that, I'd always felt it, but I didn't know what it was through my life. So it's weird, but you don't know a lot of things when you're younger.
What do you mean you felt it? Like,
I feel energies. Like everybody when you're like, say, maybe when you're in a scenario in Afghanistan or whatever, and you just feel maybe that things are about to pop off. Yeah, like you're out on a certain recce or whatever it is, and you just know, and so you're just like heightened by it, even though you are, because you're in a war zone anyway. And then things happen, and it's just like, it would be crazy, but that might not be the best example, but it's a little bit of an environmental example. But like, when you meet someone and you're like, I don't like that guy. I don't like that person. They give off a bad energy as a term, but people don't actually like there's a far more meaning to the term energy. Like people give off good energy, people that you like to be around and talk to. Like I didn't know you from a bar of soap, and we connected, and I can't remember how we first connected again.
Your podcast would have been.
It was. I just hit you up because we must have been on the socials or whatever in the acting circles. And we, hit it off, bro. Yeah, do like a 2 hours, because we've got a good, we came in with a positive intent for a start, and just sit down and have a chat. And that's the thing that I really loved about podcasting, is being able to connect to an individual for like 2 to 3 hours, locked in with the headphones and the microphone, and we're just in it, eye to eye, and people just naturally let go and say things, you know, and you get on a good vibe of things. And God, if I had money for every time someone said to me, I didn't even mean to talk about any of that stuff. Like, I haven't even told my best friends those things.
Yeah, it just comes out.
And I think, because people have told me that understand this before, that I'm probably an empath. Like, I can feel energies of people and all that. You know, people do it for like a you know, a spiritual gig or whatever, you know, like in hippies or whatever you want to give the names to that people love to say about it. I'm cool with it, whatever way. You don't have to feel it. It's like a superpower, bro. Straight up. Straight up. So I'm thankful for it. But it has detrimental effects like everything else. If you can't control it or yourself, that's the hard part that I've had to learn, which goes back to that story. But yeah, it's like, so when you're on a flow with the pod, and people say that to me, and because I think I've got like maybe what I've been said before is like a natural calming energy, so people feel like they can share things to me. And people open up, like complete strangers will tell me things that they don't even tell their best friends. That's what I get that a lot too, and just whatever. But that's cool. I love that. I love connecting with people. That's why I love the pod. That was my favorite part about the podcast was having those conversations, because no one sits down anymore and has these kind of conversations, especially with a complete stranger or whatever. But it's on a topic that they both come in with positive intent and open, like we were talking about before. And so you can take that anywhere you want to, you know, if you don't have an agenda. And that's the problem with most interviews or anything like that. And especially these days, everybody's got an agenda. So they twist and pull and whatever you say, and they poke and pride and whatever else. But yeah, the energies thing, man, like you just, the easiest way to explain it is like when you know, when you see someone and you don't want to mess with them, you don't want to talk to them because you're like, nah, they're just off. I don't like them. They're all mixed up and confused, you know, and that might be the people, like say a homeless person or whatever, or maybe they've just chosen to do that. But people with bad intent have like a bad energy, a bad feeling. You're just like, man, I don't like that vibe. Like, I'm just staying as far away from that person as I want, because I don't want them in my bubble, because it may affect me. If you know what I mean. But you choose to have people around you that are like got a good energy or whatever, that can, you know, you don't mind having them in your bubble, in your space. You know, we all need alone time from time to time, and that's probably just to like just calm our own energy, because we're feeling overwhelmed by things, you know. But so there's energy in all forms. Like, I feel like the most sometimes the most purest form, you know, like they say kids, it's like you know, acting, they say, oh, get in touch with your inner child. Like, that's because you're playful, you don't have a care in the world, you've got a free energy, you're not weighted down by the burden of a 9 to 5 a job, paying the bills and all that other stuff that we have to go through, that we have to somehow shine away when we go on and take these characters too. So that it's just, that's why it's a good thing for acting and stuff as well. But it's like babies like have that natural energy, because they haven't been influenced by anything yet. You know, they're just their natural being, and they're ready in the world to figure out who they are, kind of thing, you know, and kids and whatever else. And so that's kind of like an energy thing. But also like animals, man, like you know, when people, like, you get a bad energy person, they go around a dog and they're a bit shifty, the dogs will fucking like lash out and just act out of sync.
They're sensing something. Especially
highly aggressive dog, even though if they're not aggressive, they'll just all of a sudden do it because they feel this thing like coming into their territory that that goes back to their DNA and their ancestors, you know, like a wolf or whatever, that they're like, I got to get this out of here, I got to kill this or go, or we just got to do something and get the pack to get them out of here, you know. And I feel like animals are like, you know, I mean, I don't know, I'm not in the mind of an animal, you know. But I do believe that, like, naturally as humans, we have these natural animalistic instincts, right? We want to mate. You know, we want to connect with people. We want to find out our wolf pack, our tribe, you know, if we will. They're all like very fundamental in our DNA and from early ancestors that are ingrained in us of like, of those things. And I think most of the time we actually operate on our animalistic instincts with everything we do, like lashing out in arguments and stuff like that, you know? So most people kind of hover on that fundamental thing, I think, whether they realize it or not. Like that's how they go about their day and lives, because they haven't learned how to combat it in any other way, maybe. But animals sense it really quickly. They're highly sensitory beings, you know, and that's kind of how they operate, because they probably don't have a vast more consciousness or much going on up there like we do, I think. So they'll snap or they'll be super lovable, you know, like a nice dog or whatever that'll do anything with you. You get up in the morning, yeah, let's go, like let's go for a walk, whatever. Every single day the same way because they've got a very playful energy. And it's funny, like when I used to go running down the river all the time and people would walk their dogs, like their dogs would just completely act like some of them would like spur up, break off the lead and start running with me and trying to play and shit like this because I think I've got a pretty playful energy and they kind of sync up on that. Like I always seem to get on with animals or whatever, even if they're like quite aggressive, which is cool. But I'm probably going off on the story a little bit and on a tangent there. But and these are, you know, guys, this is my beliefs and what I've accrued over my lifetime so far of understanding and growth that has been from my period of moving from New Zealand to here, you know, like it's kind of wild. Like you come on into your own man, you know, and think of these things. But I always play with it. Like in every single scenario that I'm in, I am like tapped into what's in my environment. Like I'm very spatially aware and I can feel everyone's energies around. And sometimes that's really overwhelming. Like, especially if you're in a big workplace with a lot of people around, I'll always go off and like at smoko time, I go and have my coffee out by a tree. Just because I just need to get out of it, you know, and plus because I don't really want to be doing it. So I'm already going in with a weird energy into the space, but I try to come in positive every day and you know, like, and know what I got to do, the purpose that I'm there for to do so I can go and do the things that I want to do outside of that. But sometimes I need to check out like that. And that's obviously where meditation comes from for a lot of people. You get in your own energy, you learn your own vibrations and how you sit. And then you feel that more when you go into other environments. But in this scenario, the story that I was talking about is that, with the full moon and the blood moon and all this, it's a pretty kind of super rare occurrence where energies are stirring up a lot. So for this to happen on that night was, you know, not just a coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidences anyway, but a lot of us are all spiritual actually that were on the set and everything's like that. But so we go on the scene. Oh man, I could cut like the tension with a knife when I walked in the room because I hadn't been there filming all day. We were doing a night scene. Man, what's going on here? Oh, maybe it's just what happened before. You know, I'm bringing that in here because I just spent the rest of the day by myself, looking over my script or whatever, just in nature, just like ready to try and combat and go in because my friend didn't want to talk to me at the time and we couldn't. I wanted to reconcile it.
Reconcile.
Yeah, reconcile. That's the word I was looking for. And like, you know, so we could go and do what we had to do, you know, and they didn't want a bar of it. And so I was like, all right, okay, cool. It is what it is. We'll do it later. We're, you know, good people. We'll figure it out. But we go in there and do this scene, man. And it's a long, emotional, long dialogue scene with multiple people and really tricky takes. Dude, we could not get through it. I could barely look at her in the eyes. The energy was just so fucking off between us and like everyone else is feeling it. And it was obviously already in the room. I didn't realize what had all gone on all that day as well. So that just compiled on it, man. But dude, like, and this comes to like, I mean, learning curve for me too. I'm not at fault in this. That I should have been better prepared in my education as an actor and better at getting myself to the moments that I spoke about before, calm, ready to do the work, you know. But at this point in time, I didn't quite have that knowledge and understanding, and I didn't know what it was. And I was all over the place because I couldn't talk to my friend and like, you know, and talk it over and come into this. But we'd get like halfway through the scenes and every time somebody would stuff up and more often than not, it was me because I just didn't know what the hell was going on with me. Turns out I was having like a panic attack.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't even know what that was. I just talked about it later with people and they're like, yeah, you're having a panic attack, dude. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, but I've never had anything like that really before. But it's just because I couldn't get myself level. I didn't have the education or the knowledge within myself or the practicality to do it as an actor at that point. And plus, every take that this happened and it was my fault, or even in general, I felt like I was letting the team down, which is the biggest thing for me that I do not want to do. Like I put my energy into these things because I want to do them, you know. I want to make them the best I can for everybody and all involved. We're all lifting each other up together, you know. And on this day we weren't. Like, you know, directors helping out, other crew, but obviously they were going through their shit through the day, which I didn't realize either. But but yeah, we just couldn't connect, dude. We couldn't even look at each other, like on their point as well. That we just it just wasn't happening, man. And like so many takes later, we stop. Director goes, bro, what's going on? I'm like, oh man, sorry man, I just need a moment, just I didn't even want to talk about it with him because I didn't want to bother him with it. He already had a massive undertaking to do this film, and he's a really good mate of mine, and I just didn't want to burden him with it either. But yeah, and we like sort of tried again, and like it was all right, but it just wasn't, it's nothing for acting. Like to be in that scenario, it's not gonna, unless it sits well with the scene, which this particular scene it wouldn't. And we got through it, but it wasn't. We really didn't. He ended up cutting the night and going, bro, what's going on? And I had to confide in him because it's like we were only starting the project, man.
Yeah,
like that was the fucked thing. But yeah, I told him what happened, and then I like drove away by myself and just fucking cried and just let it all out because I let myself down. I let the whole team down. This is how I felt. I let all them down. I just fucking let it go because I just physically had to because I had nothing left anymore. I just lost everything. But and then I felt all right because I let it go. And I recalibrated. I'm like, we're going to have another go tomorrow. Just come in positive and just learn from this, which I did. And I still did pretty good the next day. But I don't know. I think it sort of had a lingering effect over the project. Yeah, I'm trying to tiptoe around a lot of stuff because I don't want to name names or anything or whatever. And I still got love for all these people. So yeah. And then, we did that, and then we came back, and it might have been like a week later, and we were probably going to have to go off to go do something. And then the director hit me up. We went and had a chat, and then I ended up leaving the movie.
Yeah, right.
And kind of in that scenario, I was kind of made the scapegoat at that point, but I didn't really tell him everything that was going on. I was me being me, trying to patch a lot of things up behind the scenes and not telling him about it and just keeping it kosher with a lot of the girls because they were all in a bickering as well, so to speak, without saying too much, which I shouldn't have got in the middle of girls doing girls things, but they were all my friends and we're all supporting each other. We're trying to create something, so, and me being me, I thought I could help, which I think I did, but then I was the one that got stabbed in the chest, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And so that was fucking tough, man. That was one of the toughest moments of my life, to be honest, because I'm a guy that's high confidence. I was beaming from those moments that we talked about before of working out, building confidence in yourself, looking good, feeling good, going, man, maybe I can take on the world, Yeah. Because that's how it felt. And that's how I feel most of the time when I'm tapped into my energy and my power. Anything's achievable, man. Yeah. That's how I truly believe. And that's great because it's a fucking great feeling. But being mindful of everyone else around you too, because I want to do good by everybody. But it's cool to feel that because it feels powerful, man. I feel powerful, bro, and that's amazing to me. But so I had to leave that, which sucked because it kind of wedged like between me and one of my best mates, that was one of those supporter guys that I was saying about at the start as well, which made it even harder. We did so many things together and so many amazing things, and like some of the best moments of my life, with those people too. And then it didn't really ever get made. It turns out he found out about a lot of the stuff. More things happened. There was a real supposed catalyst to the situation, which I ended up sort of probably getting made the scapegoat, but whatever, I still kind of failed, which sucks, that I wasn't able to do better in the scenario, but it was a massive learning curve for me. But yeah, that killed all my confidence. And for a guy that is just beaming on confidence, and confidence is everything and belief in this industry, I was zilch. Yeah. Zilch, bro. And that took me years to re-energize myself and get back in the game, if I'm honest.
So how did you get back from that? What did you do to
just a lot of work. Well, first you got to realize what happened, right? And understand it, which I pretty much did in that moment that I let go and just cried. I realized kind of what happened and I let it go, but that had lingering effects still now. of all that if I let it rear its ugly head. I like to say when I go in the gym, I'm working out my inner demons.
Yeah.
I'm working out all that stuff. That's why it's a way of life for me, is to keep my mental state in check, to feel good, to be able to behave good and do what I need to do. You know, the gym is a fundamental thing to get those endorphins going, just clear the mind, man. Meditation and all that. But understanding first what happened, and then try and did you use that word again? Reconcile with myself and try and establish those relationships again. Unfortunately, with said actor that I was talking about, we were tight. We went to concerts together and stuff like this. It was super cool. But we never really hung out ever again. And I don't know if they ever really kept going. They were doing stuff in the industry, but I don't know if they still are now. Like, we're cool though. Like, it would be awesome to see them again. Yeah. But it just hasn't worked out that way. Like, we'd potentially hug like nothing ever happened and get on like that, because we were really like good kindred souls, so to speak. They were very spiritual, probably far more spiritual than me, you know, and understood the energy within me, which was super cool. So another support thing, you know, that's why it sucked. Man, I just had to do a lot of work, just keep going to the gym and all that, trying to put myself out there constantly again, and get back some of that Teflon armor that I had before. But it was funny because this power lifter in the gym that I used to go to, this YMCA, super old school dude. He was real seedy towards chicks. But he was fun to talk to sometimes, you know, like one of those guys. But he said something to me, and this is funnily enough before we started that project. He goes, "Dan, whatever you got going on, man, don't ever lose that. Don't ever lose it. Don't let anyone mess with it or whatever." He's just like, whatever it is. Because he saw the magic, you know. He saw the energy, whether he understood it or not. I don't know why he even said this to me, to be honest, because it's completely left field about anything we ever talked about before that. And it was super weird, and it's always stuck with me, like the thing that you said to me before. Like, a lot of things people say to me when the energy drops that I'll always keep with me, you know, and hold it tight, is a trigger point to go back to, you know, ways to operate in situations. And funnily enough, that happened on that project, and it killed whatever that inner child was, pretty much. And partly probably that's on the thing, like I said before, about being so hard on myself, because I know I can do awesome, so I expect awesome, you know. And in this industry, like, perfection is just not a thing, you know. It's not even a thing. But when you are a perfectionist to a certain extent, that's whatever, it is what it is. But luckily enough, the more I just had to keep, once again, putting myself out there, failing, growing, learning, and just keep moving. Keep moving for years. I even did, and I was really hesitant to the projects that I went into after that, because these were like my best friends. And so then it was like, fuck, how do I trust anyone else after this, you know? Or not that, trust myself to be myself, to open up in a creative environment, which is what acting is. You try to have this safe space where you can do all that stuff and not be judged, so to speak, you know, because you're playing characters, but really it's stuff inside ourselves or in our minds, you know? We just tap into it. But, yeah, man, that was a long road, just a long road of all that stuff, of just trying to go back to the fundamental things that I found that really made me tap into the best things that were me, and how I kept all that in check with, like, the training, as I spoke about, and a bit of meditation and whatever, being around friends, having good vibes, good laughs, people that love and respect you, you know. That's very important to fill your soul up. That you notice more and more as you go on, like just with your homies, you know, like just those things where you're just having a couple of beers or whatever, you're just shooting the shit, just talking about life, and like you're just laughing the whole time. You go away, oh man, I felt good about that, because that's a positive energy exchange. That's what I mean about, like, the energy thing. And when you realize those things that work, you just want to keep doing it and surround yourself with it, you know, good people. But yeah, and I still did like another big project after that. That was Hard Knock Life, where I was the lead in that Amazon series.
Nice.
Or one of the leads in it. And so we shot a whole season, and man, we shot that probably like on and off over like 8 months or something like that. It was a long project. Cool people, you know, good creative environment. And that's where I think I started with some auditions and stuff within all that, like I was already starting to get my confidence back a bit, but I felt like the fire was lit back up a little bit more. But I think I was finding my acting chops, so to speak, again. It was like kind of like starting over again, but with a whole lot more knowledge, you know, it's like a second coming, bro, in the game right now. And that's what I'm on. And so I did all right in that. It was nowhere near my best work or anything, but there's some good stuff in there. But yeah, and that's probably in and out of different things. And you have these vices in life, you know, that probably rear things up in your mind, without saying too much of that. And then you go like, you know, relationships and stuff do that. And so you got to put yourself back out there. Like that's probably how like, you know, normies can relate to what I'm talking about right now. Sorry to say normies, but I don't really know any better word for it. But people that don't care about any of this stuff, yeah, they, you know, they operate and they, you know, you just like, I'm never someone that will jump just from relationship to relationship. You know how a lot of people do that? Like they'll have a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, they'll break up, but they've already pretty much got one on the go again, you know, ready, and they just jump from relationship to relationship. Man, that can't be healthy.
No.
For yourself, you got to learn how to be by yourself, learn about yourself by doing that. And then you're in a place to give to someone wholeheartedly, I feel.
There's a danger in being by yourself too, though. Because you get you get very used to it.
You go too inward in your mind as well, and you do whatever else that substitutes that teddy bear feeling that you want from somebody else or whatever it is.
I just mean in general getting used to being alone and not having someone.
Totally.
So then when someone does come along and you're like, yeah, I like hanging out with them, then you hang with them a bit too much and you're like, okay, now you're encroaching on my alone time being by myself because I really like.
Or you overwhelm them.
Yeah, can happen as well.
Yeah. See, you're probably not like that, but see, I'm like an all or nothing guy, you know, and I've had to learn different ways to combat that. But that's like, it's great for projects and everything that you see. Like, it's just, I'm either all in or I'm out.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I don't see the point in halfway in anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that person.
Yeah.
That's it. But I had to learn that with relationships that can give off like a desperate energy. And you can get too overwhelming as well, or desperate when you're single, or overwhelming when you're with a partner and then maybe you push them away because you're just maybe a bit too needy or something, or whatever, man, like whatever. That's a whole nother podcast in itself, really. But you know, like it's just life. You got to learn these things. But yeah, I was careful with the projects I went on to that, started getting some momentum. But to be completely honest with you, bro, that fire has only really woken back up again in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's a long time ago. Like that's over like a 5-year period, maybe. Probably longer, actually. Probably maybe like 7 years ago or something. I don't even know. It's a long time. But, you know, like going to those studio things, like I was talking about that, like really feeling it again and then being confident in your own power, you know, to do something with it. And knowing wholeheartedly again, man, and that ebbs and flows too, because it gets taken away from you when you choose to give your power to someone or your energy to someone else, and then they take it for granted, and you kind of get reel back into that shell again. So it's a real hard thing. I say right now, I'm good, baby. I'm ready to rock and roll. My power is back and look the fuck out. Like that's how I'm at now. And that was cemented, definitely had it a lot going on for a little while. Some great auditions I put down. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm back, baby. Like, I can do this, man. I can do this. Because there was doubt there, you know, a lot of doubt, all the doubt. But yeah, working on that Eden project and being around Jude Law, Sydney Sweeney, Vanessa Kirby, Daniel Brown, all these great actors, Ron Howard and all that, man, and some of the crew and stuff, and them seeing your energy and you see the smile on their face when you walk over, and like they want to interact with you and like all this really reassured me that I still got the goods, you know, and that I've got something worthy enough for like A-list actors and amazing people to see my energy, you know, and that was like I tried to keep it at bay, but it was like that felt good for me. I guess selfishly you could say, but not really, because I was putting all positive energy into it. But it felt good to be recognized in that way. And I go, man, if I can get the attention of some of these people that are moving and shaking and doing amazing things, I'm on the right path again. And I felt it. And sure, I made little mistakes along the way, a little, and I mean little things, because I'm so self-critical that I'll fix that up the next day, because I want to be the best version of myself every day, you know, if I can. But that was good, man. Like when I knew that, it was just third day. I guess I can say this. I'm trying to be. I can't say a lot of things, guys, because it's like you got NDAs, and I don't want to say how the sauce is made and respect everybody else, and all these people. There's so many pillar stories I'd love to talk about on a podcast, but I won't. But yeah, like I think I can say this, but like it's like third day of filming, as we kind of spoke about before about the stand-in stuff, and we talked about it off camera, but I won't go into it in too much detail. But there was this moment we were shooting down in New South Wales on this beach, man. The brightest sun you've ever seen, on the goldenest sand you've ever seen, beaming up into your eyes, right? And you're having to stand and stare at this camera because you're standing in for the actor ready to come in. Dude, like almost crying. It was that intense, but I just fixed in, got to do a good job. Don't want to get fired. And whatever I did for those days of running around on set and helping out wherever I could, going above and beyond what I could do. And man, Ron Howard came over to me, and I was on camera, so I was mindful of that. Yeah. But he comes over and he goes, you're doing an incredible job. You see everything that's going on around on set. It's, and dude, I was speechless. Yeah. I'm talking to the A-listers and stuff like that. Like, they're my friends, but I know who they are. So it's like, but trying to be as cool as possible so we can just, get on and not be weird for them. Obviously. Dude, and I was speechless, and I've probably barely ever been speechless in my life. You know me. I mean, you guys can hear me yakking on here. I don't know. Yeah. Because he's the director. He's the guy, man. Yeah. And with all the chaos that he's got to deal with, and in this production, he had the time to notice what I was doing, Yeah. Of course they do.
That's probably what makes him great.
All the good directors, all the great directors notice everything that's going on. So be mindful of that whenever you're on set, guys. But obviously people know that, but they see everything, man. Yeah. And he must have seen like the extra work that I put it in. But that's the thing on being a situational awareness. Like, like I would just listen to the DOP. I would listen to the first AD. I would listen to Ron, everybody, and just take it all into the algorithm. And I knew everything that was going on the set without getting told really anything, if that makes any sense. So when I went to go do my job, that I could do it without stuffing up anything and wasting anyone else's time, because on a film set, time is money overall. And so that helped them out. And to the point where some of the camera guys, they would frame up and they would go, "Hey Dan, so where does so-and-so walk to this point, to this point?" They're not even my actors that I'm supposed to be looking at. I go, "Oh yeah, he goes out to the ravine, he goes this way, he goes this way." They go, "Thanks." Because they knew that halfway through, they knew that I was just listening to everything. And they might have been testing me too at the point, just to get a kick out of if I got it wrong. Which I probably did maybe once or twice, but whatever. But yeah, it was cool for him to say that. I was speechless. I didn't even know what to say. Now I kick myself because he totally came over for a conversation with me. Yeah. And I could barely get out, "No worries, mate." I gave him a nod of acknowledgement, and I was just like, "No worries." Yeah. That's all I could get. And then we had to set up for ages, and I was like, man, I could have just had a chat with Ron Howard, and I just blew that one. I never really got an opportunity again overly. But yeah, it was pretty funny, man. But it was pretty cool to be acknowledged like that. But I went on a bit of a tangent there, and I'm not sure what you even asked me, but
mate, look, honestly, man, that honestly sounds like a pretty good place to wrap things up. Sounds like you found yourself again, your energy. You're on a great path, finding some success. Man. It's good, man. I want to thank you for coming in today.
No, thanks, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Sharing your life, your ups and your downs. It's been fun,
dude.
I always love chatting to you, catching up. Yeah, it's great.
I love the spot you got here too, bro.
Thanks,
commend it, and you're doing it. You're moving and shaking. You're doing the thing. You've talked about doing a podcast for a little while. We were back and forth for a while, so yeah, man, it's awesome you're doing this, bro. And yeah, man, I love the moves that you're making soon and what you're doing. And yeah, man, it's good, bro. You've always got a great energy.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, great conversations. Great way to connect, man. And yeah, I love it, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, dude. Thanks for sharing part of your life with me and the listeners. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for listening and listening to me ravel on for a little bit there. Going Deep with Dan Good podcast. You can find it on all major platforms on there, YouTube, Spotify, everything like that. But geez, I'm trying to forget my Instagram handle. I'm that tapped out at the moment. Dan__good on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and everything. But yeah, we're making some movies, we're making some moves, and yeah, watch this space because we're doing some things. So yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks for listening, guys.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, bro.
Catch you later, legends. See ya.